Hey everyone, welcome to Infinity Harry. If you're enjoying our unique takes on Harry Potter and want to see more exciting content, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Today we will see what if Harry Potter became a vampire and lost himself to darkness. Here is short summary. Transformed into a vampire, Harry Potter struggles with his new nature, lost memories, and a world that no longer sees him as its hero. But before we start, if you want more stuffs like this, then please support to subscribe this channel and share with your friends. Let's start the video. Harry, Hermione called out, making Harry jump. Yeah, Hermione, Harry said, slightly shaking. Are you ready to try the charm? She asked him. Harry nodded, though he hadn't read anything. Professor Flitwick put them into pairs to try the charm out. Harry got paired with Neville Longbottom, who was the worst student ever. Harry knew that he had to be on his toes just in case Neville lost his nerve and made a mistake. Neville pointed his wand at Harry and said the spell. The spell hit him hard, but instead of bubbles Harry blacked out. Bring him in, Madame Pomfrey said as Hermione and Ron brought and knocked out Harry into her wing. What happened? We were practicing the bubble charm and Neville made a mistake, Hermione explained. Remind me why he's at Hogwarts, Madame Pomfrey said, shaking her head, and then started on Harry. Several hours later she reported that Harry would survive but he would have some memory loss. Dumbledore and the rest of the staff had gathered to hear her report and McGonagall just shook her head. Finally Lupin asked, when will he wake up? Hopefully soon, Madame Pomfrey answered and then left. Over the next couple of days the matron watched Harry's friends come and visit him, but the boy was out cold and didn't hear them. She hoped that he woke up soon and then she would know the full extent of what had happened. Naturally she felt sorry for Longbottom, he was taking it hard. One day she was coming out when she saw Professor Snape and several Slytherins enter. She ducked so that they wouldn't notice that she was there. How could Longbottom do this? Malfoy asked. Because he has no brains, Snape hissed. She heard something being opened and then she heard them leaving. She appeared at once and saw that an empty potions bottle was on the table. She at once checked him over, but Harry seemed fine. She shook her head and returned to her office. 3 hours later Harry finally woke up. When Harry woke up everything felt empty. He knew who he was but he didn't remember much else. When a strange woman appeared he flinched, not wanting her to touch him. Where was he? Did he do something so bad that he landed in the hospital? I'm glad that you're finally awake, Harry, she said. Who are you? Harry asked her. She frowned and then said, my name is Madame Pomfrey and you're in the hospital wing at Hogwarts. That sort of made sense. He sort of remembered Hogwarts but nothing else. Let's check you out and then I'll inform Dumbledore that you're awake, Madame Pomfrey told him. Dumbledore, who's that? Harry asked. Or maybe not, Madame Pomfrey corrected. It took 4 hours for Harry to be told about the life that he knew nothing about. He was in Gryffindor, his parents had died at the hands of some man named you-know-who, he had survived, he played Quidditch for the Gryffindor Quidditch team, he had friends named Hermione Granger and Ron Weasley, he was an okay student, Professor Snape hated him, he wasn't liked by the Slytherins, and he had ended up here by a boy named Neville Longbottom. When she had finished telling him everything it still didn't make sense. Finally he asked if he could have something. Anything as long as it's safe, she said. I'm bored, can I have something to read? Harry asked her. I'll get you one of your schoolbooks, she told him and then left. An hour later Harry was reading 1000 magical drafts and potions and listening as Madame Pomfrey tutted over someone else that had come in. The book was wonderful, it had all these really cool potions that could do all sorts of things. When he saw the boil cure he chuckled. Who got boils these days? When the matron had left Harry got out of bed and walked around. At once he saw a shelf filled with different color bottles. Each one of them was carefully labeled and one of them was something called Scalo Grow. He picked it up and read the label, to return bones lost. Odd, Harry thought. He wondered if the matron used any of these things, he sort of doubted it but he figured that she must as some of the bottles were half empty. A clearing of the throat made Harry jump and he turned to see the matron was back. Mr. Potter, return to your bed, she ordered. Yes, ma'am, Harry said. Your friends are coming up tomorrow to see you, she informed him. My friends, Harry said, confused. "Mr. Weasley and Miss Granger, the ones that I told you about," she reminded him. Harry frowned and said, "I don't want to see them." "Of course you do," she said, "now just rest and tomorrow you'll see them." "I don't want to see them," Harry repeated, but Madame Pomfrey wouldn't listen to him. The next morning Harry was busy reading his book when two people came in that he didn't know. One of them was a bushy-haired girl and the other was a red-haired boy. Both of them looked excited to see him, but Harry ignored them. The potions inside the book were far more interesting. A much older woman walked in as well. She looked stern, but she also looked worried. "Harry, I'm so happy that you're awake," the girl said. "We thought that you were a goner," the boy said. "Well, I'm all fine, thank you very much," Harry said, his tone telling them that he wanted to be left alone. They didn't take the hint. "Oliver is worried that you're going to miss the next Quidditch game," the boy said. "Well, we wouldn't want that, now would we?" Harry snapped. "Harry, what's wrong with you?" the girl asked. "Nothing. I just don't want to be bothered," Harry told her. "Now leave, I'm busy reading." "Harry, I can have a chess board brought up and we can play," the boy said, "reading that drivel is enough to make you go all batty." Harry glared at him. How dare he call potions drivel? "I don't want to play chess, and if I want to read what you think is drivel, then that's my business. Now go away and leave me alone." "But, I think that Mr. Potter wants to be left alone," Madame Pomfrey told them. "You can come back when he's up to it." Both of them looked like they didn't want to leave, but thankfully they left Harry in peace and Harry returned to his reading. Harry got no more visitors for the next couple of days, and by this time he had finished reading his book. He wanted another book, but Madame Pomfrey told him that it was time for him to return to Gryffindor Tower. Resigning to the fact that he would be once again around the two that he didn't want to talk to, he left, taking his book with him, and headed back to Gryffindor Tower. However, he didn't go back. He wanted to read something else, and so he went to the one place that he knew more books would be at, the library. He walked in and saw an old woman looking at him. She had a stony look that told Harry that he better not damage her books. He walked over to her and asked where the potion section was. She looked at him oddly, but then led him down to where the books were and left him alone. Fingering the different volumes, he found one that he liked and pulled it down. He read the title, "Making Sure That You're Doing It Right," by Amanda Boyle. He then sat down and started to read. "Severus, I'm most worried about this," Dumbledore told his potions master. "He doesn't want to talk to his friends and now we have no idea where he's at." "Do you think that he'll get his memory back?" Snape asked him. "I really don't know," Dumbledore answered. "I mean, I'm for one in believing that Harry did injure his brain and now can't remember things, but to tune out his friends is something that I can't believe Harry would do." "What do you want me to do?" Snape asked. "Continue to protect the child like you have," Dumbledore said. "I'm sure that soon Harry will be back and then we can continue to train him for his fight against Riddle." Snape nodded and he was told that he could leave. Snape headed for the library, thinking about getting a book before Madame Pants shut the library down for the night. When he walked in, he saw the Pants putting books away and passed her, going to his favorite section on runes. The tables were empty except for the one near the back. He headed towards the table and found the boy that he was now feeling sorry for fast asleep, his head laying on a book that he had been reading. He pulled the book out and read the cover, A Beginner Guide to Runes from Germany. What had caused the boy to think that this was interesting? He took a deep breath and then shook him awake. What happened?" Harry asked, looking around. "The library is due to close," Snape told him. "Gather your books and check them out." "Yes, sir," Harry said, showing the kind of respect that the old Potter would have never shown. When Potter had left, Snape wondered what kind of person Potter would be now. It was clear that the child liked books, and that was something that Weasley would never understand. "There you are, Harry," Hermione said when Harry had finally returned. "Where were you, mate?" Ron asked him. "Reading," Harry answered. "Now I'm going off to bed." "Got your homework for the classes that you missed?" Hermione told him. "Ron put it up in the dormitory." Harry nodded but said nothing as he headed upstairs. The next morning, Saturday, Harry found a hiding spot in the library and started working on his charms homework. He didn't want to be around anyone, he just wanted to be left alone. The library was his choice because the morons that didn't care anything about their work would never dream of coming in here. He saw several Slytherins and wondered what they were doing. He decided to walk over and see if they wanted company. "Hello," Harry said. The group looked up and one of them stood up. "Hey, Harry, want to sit with us?" "Thanks," Harry said and sat down. "Heard what happened?" One of them told him. "I'm Pansy Parkinson and this is Millicent Bulstrode, Theodore Knott, and a couple of first years that are exchange students from Germany, Japan, and India. Everyone, this is Harry Potter." "Hello Harry-san," the boy from Japan said. A girl that looked like his sister smiled at him. "So are you working on your charms work?" Pansy asked him. "Yeah," Harry said, "I needed to get away from those blasted Gryffindors." "I thought that you had Quidditch practice," Knott said to him. "I do, but I need to get my work done and I can't do it when I'm tired," Harry told him, "and this Professor Snape has a project that he wants us to do. It's going to take at least a week to get all my notes together and then another week to test if I'm right." "We'll help," Millicent offered. "That would be great," Harry said. Thanks to the Slytherins, Harry managed to finish all his homework and get started on his potions project. The children from Japan were really interesting. They knew something called Asian mystical magic and even offered to teach Harry some. Part of it was finding your element and working with it. They even let Harry use a book called Beginner's Guide to Asian Mystical Traditions. It was charmed to turn to English and the girl even offered to teach Harry some Japanese. Slytherins weren't bad. Hermione and Ron hardly ever saw Harry, even when Hermione checked the library. The only time that they saw Harry was during class and he sat near the front and away from them. He was always writing in something and when they got close he closed his book and walked down the corridor. Finally, during Transfiguration, Harry was cornered by Professor McGonagall. "I'm worried about you, Potter," she said. "You don't hang out with your friends." "Because I don't want to," Harry said. "I want to be left alone. I've got too many things to do and not enough time to listen to mindless conversations." "And how about Quidditch?" McGonagall said to him. "We have a match in November." "Find someone else," Harry told her. "I've been looking at things and Quidditch just doesn't matter anymore. I want to do well. I want to get a good job when I get out of Hogwarts, and I can't do that if I'm playing a game where I could get hurt." Hermione saw Ron gaping. "Mr. Weasley and Miss Granger, leave," McGonagall snapped. "I'm talking to Potter alone." Harry turned and Hermione saw coldness in his eyes. He didn't like being overheard. "Come on, Ron, we'll talk with Harry later," Hermione said and she pushed Ron out the door. Harry couldn't believe the nerve that Granger and Weasley had to listen in on his conversation with McGonagall. Proof that Gryffindors were stupid. He gave up his position as Seeker and spent time with the Slytherins, explaining that he no longer cared for the sport anymore. "That took guts," Malfoy said. "Well, I'm not sorry that I did it," Harry told him, "and Granger and Weasley both were listening in on my conversation. I can't believe I was friends with them." "So how is your potions project going?" Pansy asked. "I'm working on it and it's going great," Harry said. "Since I'm not tagging along with idiots, I'm able to focus more. I've gotten some of the theory down but it's challenging." "Don't do more than you can," Malfoy said. "That's what Dad tells me all the time." "So what's the subject of your project?" "Professor Snape only wanted us to work on reversing simple poisons." "True, but even some of the antidotes that I've found don't always get rid of them," Harry told him. "I'm working on something that gets rid of all basic to medium strength poisons." "Wicked. That's something that Professor Snape would be working on," Malfoy said. "I'll take that as a compliment," Harry said. Snape was busy watching the group, finding it hard to believe that Potter would be hanging out with his snakes. However, he seemed to be enjoying himself and not causing trouble. He had heard from Minerva that Potter had given up his position as Seeker. Finally, that boy was realizing that there were more important things out there than playing some stupid game. "He's really coming to himself," Sprout said. "He was in my class and he already had his herbology work done and he was the only student that didn't get dirty." Snape nodded, not saying anything. He wondered what the explosion had done to Potter's mind. He would soon find out in potions. The next morning Snape headed down to the dungeons for his third-year potions class. He doubted that Potter would have changed in this subject. He had always been bad in potions, nothing like his mother. When he walked in he found Potter standing on the Slytherin side of the room, which was shocked. He saw that Granger and Weasley looked at him with worry. Today we're working on a potion to heal the body, Snape told them. The instructions are on the board, get started. He sat down at his desk and watched, to his surprise, Potter opening his book and flipping over to what seemed to be the right page. He then watched Potter get to work, Malfoy as his partner. No one said anything as they worked, and after what seemed to be a right amount of time he came over to the Slytherin side and found Potter focused on his work. He didn't even look up when Snape approached, and he watched as he added the right ingredient at the right time. It seems that Potter has developed something like smarts, Snape said, too bad he's not in Slytherin. Potter muttered something that made Snape's blood boil. What did you say, Potter? I said I wish that I had been, Potter answered. I highly doubt, sir. That's exactly what he said, Malfoy told him, which shocked Snape. What are you on about back there? Ron said to Harry when they were in Gryffindor Tower. Wanting to be one. What would your parents say? And why don't you shut up about my parents? Harry hissed. All you think about is Quidditch and how much food you can shovel into your mouth. I have more important things to do, and this may come as a shock to you, but no one really cares what you have to say. Just because I choose to do well doesn't mean that you have the right to reign in on my parade. What? Take Muggle studies? Are you too good of a pureblood to take them? Harry snarled and hurried off to divination. Harry was in a foul mood during divination. He had once wondered why he had even bothered to take this stupid class. When Trelawney came over and told Harry that his dreams meant that the Grim was getting near, Harry stormed out. Now he knew why he had taken this class. He actually thought that he might have some sort of gift, which he most likely did not. He headed for the headmaster's office. Harry has lost his marbles, Ron told Hermione, getting mad at me, being friendly to those stinking Slytherins, and storming out of divination. Ron, I'm sure that it was nothing, Hermione told him. Well, he better have some good answers during Care of Magical Creatures, Ron said. However, Harry wasn't in Care of Magical Creatures when Ron and Hermione showed up, and he wasn't in the common room when they came back. It was near curfew before Harry showed up. He walked past them and disappeared, not even talking to them. I'm getting answers, now, Ron demanded and went up to his dorm. However, he found it locked and he started banging on the door. However, it didn't open and Ron turned and headed back down. What happened? Hermione asked. The door is sealed, Ron told her. Hermione looked shocked and then Ron said, I don't care if I have to sleep outside, I'm finding out what's wrong with Harry. Count me in, Hermione said. The next morning they cornered Harry as he was leaving the common room. Harry glared at them with the same cold look that Hermione had seen when he had been talking to Professor McGonagall. At once Ron demanded to know what was going on with him. Just because I choose not to be around you doesn't mean that there's something wrong with me, Harry told him. But we're your friends, Ron told him. Not anymore, Harry said. I've got my own friends, thank you very much, and they're much better. If you're talking about those stinking Slytherins, Ron said, their parents were Death Eaters, you know whose supporters. Just because their parents were doesn't mean their children will be, Harry told him. Stop treating them like they're the enemy. They're friends and no one talks bad about my friends. But we're your friends, Hermione protested. Oh, so you're my friends because you want to be, or are you my friends because I'm the famous Harry Potter? That's not fair, Ron said. No, it's completely fair, Harry countered. The only reason that I'm in Gryffindor is because I wanted to be around people that were my friends. If Hagrid hadn't told me how supposedly bad Slytherin was, I would have been in that house. Nonsense, Hermione said. Your parents were in Gryffindor. Well, I guess you don't want to even listen, Harry told her. You're all so high and mighty. I've made friends with people that don't care that I'm supposedly famous. They like me for who I am. And he stormed out. Word got around real quick that the Golden Trio was no longer together. Harry personally didn't care. He couldn't stand being around the Gryffindors, and the common room was so crowded and noisy that he couldn't even focus. The truth as to why Harry hadn't been in Care of Magical Creatures was due to the fact that Harry had changed classes and was now in Arthman C. He found that he liked the subject and you could use Artemis to create new spells. When Harry saw Hermione walk in, he turned his back on her. It was about time that she was taken down a peg or two. So Potter is a loner, Snape said. He had graded Potter's potion and it was very good. Of course it had surprised him when he heard that Potter had dumped Weasley and Granger. And he's doing better in charms, Flitwick told him. The boy is finally showing his mother's talent. How is he doing in potions? Dumbledore asked. His potion was better than his other attempts at the subject, Snape told him. That's good to hear, Dumbledore said. I can't believe that he dumped his friends, Lupin said. I would have never have done that. Well, Lily didn't like being around idiots, McGonagall said. Are you upset that you lost your seeker? Sprout asked. Yes, but I understand that Harry wants to do better, McGonagall said to her. Potter's been doing badly in all his classes. I think that he's not fit to do both Quidditch and his studies. Well, it's about time that Potter sees what's more important, Snape told him. Any idea what Potter's doing in the library? Dumbledore asked. He spends a lot of time in there. I have no idea, McGonagall said. Well, according to Parkinson, he's doing some potions project that Severus assigned, McGonagall answered. Snape was shocked. That project was due before term ended for the winter holidays. Potter was doing it. I'm going to see this for myself, Snape told her. What? You don't believe me? McGonagall said, sounding offended. I'm finding it hard to believe, Snape told her. Later that day, after dinner, he headed for the library. He wasn't to see if Potter was actually working on his potions project or if he was slacking off. As he entered, he heard hissing coming from one of the shelves, and when he looked he saw Potter having a hissing discussion with Weasley. Come back to the common room, Weasley begged. I have work to do, Potter told him. So you rather be here than playing chess with me, Weasley said. Do I even have to answer that one? Potter said to him. Now go away and leave me alone. I'm not leaving until you start acting. Go away, Potter bellowed, before I hex you, you stupid Torag. Snape was shocked. That was the word that his Lily would use. Fine, come and talk to me when you're back to normal, Weasley snarled, and he heard Weasley leave. Good, he's gone, Potter muttered. Now I can get to work. He watched Potter for what seemed like forever, writing things down, books floating here and there. When Potter left to get another book, Snape walked over and using magic he copied Potter's notes and added a spell that would show him what Potter was writing. Something was very wrong with Potter, and if it was bad he would find a way to reverse it, but if it was good and wouldn't harm the students and staff, then he would let it continue. He then left the library, leaving Potter to whatever he was doing. He's taking study of ancient runes and Arthmancy, Hermione told Ron, reporting that she had seen him in both classes. Oh gods, this is worse than I imagine, Ron said. He's turning into you. Hermione glared at him. And what's wrong with me? Nothing. We need to tell Dumbledore, Ron said. If those stinking Slytherins did something to Harry's mind, we need to tell Dumbledore. But we have no proof, Hermione told him. That's why you're going to watch them and tell me what you see, Ron told her. We need to find a way to get our Harry back. Hermione nodded in agreement. She missed the old Harry too. During the next study of ancient runes, Hermione watched as Harry was working on a book that talked about the different runes. Since he had started 3 weeks after the class had begun, he had some catching up to do. The teacher had given him a bag of runes, the same ones that she had given everyone, and he was busy looking them over. Hermione only looked at her work ever once in a while, keeping a close watch on Harry. Finally the bell rang and Harry packed up his things and Hermione watched him leave. She watched him during Transfiguration as he turned in his work to Professor McGonagall and then started working on what she had put on the board. He seemed to be enjoying the subject, something that he had never shown before. Finally, when that lesson ended, Hermione headed back to the Gryffindor common room and ran right into Harry. He looked at her with something that reminded her of Professor Snape. "Why are you spying on me?" Harry demanded. "I don't know what. I sensed you looking at me during class," Harry told her, his tone cold. "And how come you're in that class when you're supposed to be in stinking divination with your cohort Weasley?" Hermione was shocked. He sensed her. "Get away from me," Harry snarled. I don't like people spying on me, trying to see what I'm doing. I bet you're trying to get me into trouble. Well, since I can't trust you or anyone, I'm asking Dumbledore to place me in Slytherin. At least I won't have to worry about you and idiot number 2 spying on me, trying to catch me." And Harry stormed off. "A blowout," Snape said when Lupin told him what he had accidentally overheard in the corridor. "That's exactly what I'm saying," Lupin said. "Apparently Hermione and Ron are spying on Harry and he feels that they're trying to get him into trouble. He wants to be resorted into Slytherin." Snape was now even more shocked. And the funny thing was, he sounded just like you when he accused Hermione of trying to get him into trouble. Now that was new. When Lupin had left, Snape thought over what he had said. Things were not adding up. It was clear that Potter was annoyed at the idea that Weasley and Granger were spying on him, not that he blamed the boy at all. But to think that maybe the child was starting to act like him was something that he was finding hard to believe. Not that he was calling Lupin a liar, but he needed to find out more. He looked over the notes that he had copied and saw that Potter was doing very extensive work. Something that he and Lily would have done. "Well, looks like I'm going back to the library," Snape said, thinking that's where he could find Potter now. When he arrived in the library, after dinner, he hadn't seen Potter at dinner. He found not Potter but a large pile of books. It seemed that someone had left the books floating around too long and now they had piled up. Suddenly the books started going up and down and Snape suspected that someone was under all that binding. He flicked his wand and the books stacked up to reveal a sleeping Potter. Snape just shook his head. Snape decided to take Potter back to the Gryffindor common room when he noticed that Potter wasn't wearing Gryffindor robes but Slytherin ones. He didn't like this, not one bit. If Potter thought that he could pretend to be a snake just so that he wouldn't have to be around his friends, then he was sadly mistaken. He decided to take Potter to the headmaster. "Sir, why am I going back to Dumbledore's office?" Potter asked him. "Because you're in Gryffindor, not Slytherin," Snape answered. "Sir, I was resorted," Potter told him. Snape felt like snorting at that likely story. The hat didn't resort. When they arrived in Dumbledore's office, the headmaster looked surprised to see him. He asked, "What's wrong now, Severus? Your student get into a fight with a Hufflepuff or something?" Snape almost gaped at him, but he said, "My student, Potter isn't my student." "I'm afraid that he is," Dumbledore told him. "Harry has asked to be resorted and the hat told me that he was almost placed in Slytherin. So naturally once Harry said that he wished to be resorted, the hat placed him in Slytherin at once." Snape felt like an idiot. After Potter had left, with a real apology from Snape, he sat down and looked at the headmaster. Things weren't going the way that they should and he wondered what Dumbledore thought about his golden boy ending up in the den of snakes, even if it was 2 years later than expected. Dumbledore didn't say anything for about 10 minutes until, "I'm not happy with Harry being in Slytherin, however I understand that the hat decided that it would be the best place for him. I once thought that it might be because of the fragment inside him, but now I'm thinking there might be something else. If you're thinking what I think that you're thinking, then you're wrong. No, I was actually thinking that maybe it was the Dursley treatment of Harry that caused him to be fit for Slytherin," Dumbledore told him. "What do you think that I was talking about?" "Nothing," Snape said, feeling like an idiot again. "Focus on your own inner thoughts," the boy said to Harry. They were in the Slytherin dorm and Harry was trying to focus his mind on finding his element. The boy, one of the exchange students from Japan, was helping him. It was harder than the boy had let on, but Harry was determined to master this. He said that it would help him out with his Dementor problem, and another girl had offered to teach him the Patronus charm, with the approval of Professors Lupin and Snape. Once you've focused on your own inner thoughts, seek out the spark that's your core and travel with it. Harry found the spark and latched onto it. He suddenly felt himself being pulled down, lost in the feeling of himself being connected to everything. Suddenly something alerted him that someone had entered, the charm that had been placed on him pulling him out. He opened his eyes and the boy turning to the direction of the doorway. Harry turned to see Snape standing there. "Hello, Sensei," the boy said. "Hello, Mr. Wong," Snape answered back. "I do hope that Mr. Potter has all his homework done." "Yes, sir," Harry answered. "Then I'll let him continue," Snape told them, "Oh, I'm also here to ask for the forms that your parent or guardian signed." "I don't have mine, sir," Harry answered. "Apparently my aunt and uncle didn't sign it, though I don't remember why." "Stupid muggles," Snape snapped. "Mr. Wong, do you have yours?" "Yes, sir," Wong said, and he handed his over. Snape then left. "It's all right," Wong told him. "I'll make sure that I pick you up some sweets." "I'm not upset that I'm not going," Harry told him. "At least the idiots will be gone and I can have some peace." "Well, I'll still bring you some sweets," Wong told him, "so let's start again." The next time that Harry had to even look at anyone from Gryffindor House, besides Granger in the study of ancient runes and Arthmancy, was during potions. Harry once again sat where he sat, far away from Granger and Weasley, and took out his things. Wong wasn't in this class, as he was a first year, but Malfoy was willing to be his partner, again. "So how are you doing with Wong?" Malfoy asked Harry. "It's going great," Harry answered. "I'm finding my element." "Elemental magic is very hard to master," Malfoy said, almost whistling. "If you can manage it, then you won't need your wand to defeat your enemy." "That's what Wong said," Harry told him. "He said that he and the other professors are going to help me cast a Patronus." Malfoy looked shocked and Harry grinned. Well, looks like Potter has some new friends," said Weasley, and Harry knew that he was only doing this because he refused to hang out with him. "So are your new friends going to help you when your uncle beats on you?" "Personally, I hope he kills you." Harry saw red. For some unknown reason his words made Harry angry. "Ron, stop it," Granger said. "Oh, shut up, Hermione," Weasley said. "Potter has lost all my sympathy when he chose to be resorted and into Snake Land." "And why don't you shut up?" Harry snapped. "Just because you have a loving family doesn't mean that you need to remind me of what I'm never going to have." "Oh well, sorry that my loving family upsets you, Potter," Weasley said. "Of course you would most likely be staying with them even if your parents had lived." "And why's that?" Harry asked. "Because you're such a freak," Weasley answered, and Harry went for his wand. "Only freaks would end up in Slytherin. Why can't you leave him alone?" a round-faced boy asked him. "Longbottom, he's a traitor," Weasley answered. "He doesn't get any of our sympathy." "So what are you going to do when your uncle beats on you?" "Cry out for us to help you." "Oh, I forgot. We won't be helping you." The door suddenly opened and Snape walked in. However, Harry didn't see him as he was so angry. "How dare you make fun of my home life, Weasley? Just because you have a loving family doesn't give you the right to remind me that mine treat me like a piece of shit. You don't have a uncle that beats you 3 times a week, so shove off and leave me alone." And he stormed out of potions. "I hope that you gave Weasley detention for being a git," McGonagall said. "Oh, I gave him detention all right, 3 months' worth," Snape answered, "and he won't be going to Hogsmeade." "I can't believe that Harry's uncle does that," Lupin said, shuddering. "Rotten muggles, his balloon of an uncle getting his jollies off raping Harry." "Or getting his thing off raping any child," Snape corrected. "It's clear that Potter has mental issues that I think we need to help him with." "I'm all for that," Lupin said. "Good, because Mr. Wong is helping Harry out," Snape said. "I'm going to talk with his mother about coming to England. She's a mind healer and can help." He saw McGonagall giving him a look, but Dumbledore said, "Now I see that Harry is the perfect fit for Slytherin." Later that night Potter entered his office and sat down. It was clear that the boy had been crying and he offered Potter something to calm him, which he took. "Care to explain what happened in potions and you're not in trouble?" Snape told him. "Ron just got me so mad that it came out," Potter said. "I have no idea where it came from." "I think that it's a repressed memory," Snape told him. "Harry, look, what happened to you with your uncle isn't your fault. I'm having Mr. Wong's mother come to England to help you. She's a mind healer and can help you get through it." "Thanks," Potter said. "Now I understand that you want to learn how to cast a Patronus," Snape went on. "I and Lupin have agreed, as I'm sure that Mr. Wong has told you, to let you try." "Yes," Potter said. "Good," Snape said. "Now I believe that your friends are waiting on you." Potter thanked him and then left. "What you did was sick and wrong," McGonagall told Weasley. "And why are you defending Potter?" Weasley asked. McGonagall's eyes turned cold, her lips turned thin, and then she said, I'm defending him because of what happened and also because you forced him to reveal something that his mind wasn't ready to reveal. What you did was sick and sadistic. I never thought that someone in my own house would be a sadist. I'm not that, Weasley said. I think that your mother would disagree, McGonagall said. Now I'm taking 50 points from Gryffindor for what you did. 50. Yes, I believe that you heard me right. 50, McGonagall said. Now get out of my sight before I suspend you. Weasley stormed out. A few minutes later McGonagall left, heading for the dungeons. She caught up with Snape as he was doing his patrols, looking for people that he could take points from, and took a deep breath. He knew the man wasn't going to like what she was about to say, but it was important that he knew. Severus, can I have a word with you? She asked him. Snape looked at him and then answered, what is it? Severus, I know why Harry is acting like he is and doesn't want to play Quidditch. And why's that? Snape asked. Well, first of all, I want you to know that I do believe that accident played a very key part in this, but beneath it all there's another reason, she said. She saw him getting angry and knew that she would have to tell him right now. Please, I hope that you don't get. Spit it out, woman, Snape bellowed. Fine, Harry's your son, McGonagall said, and then she left, leaving a stunned Snape behind. Snape just stood there, shock flooding him. Hardly anything shocked him these days but when Minerva opened her mouth and told him that Harry was his son that took the cake. How in the world did he even have a son? He turned around and headed back to his quarters, to think about what she had said and to hopefully sleep it off. The next day things were quiet and silent. Snape knew that it was the Hogsmeade weekend and that he needed to get Lupin his potion. He figured that Potter would most likely be in Hogsmeade, so that would give him time to get his thoughts together and maybe talk to Lupin. He needed to talk to someone that wouldn't blab to Dumbledore. When Snape knocked on Lupin's door he heard, enter, and then walked in. Potter was there. What the hell? Oh hello, Severus, you can leave it here, Lupin said. Snape put the potion on the desk and turned to Potter. What are you doing here? His relations didn't sign his form, Lupin answered. Pity, Snape said. You better drink that right away, Lupin. Thanks, I will, Lupin said. Oh, do you want to see my Grindlow? No, I don't, Snape hissed, not wanting to believe that his chance to talk to Lupin had been taken away. Stupid muggles. So what did you want to talk to me about? Lupin asked later on when Snape was in his office. Is Potter around? Snape asked. No, he's back in the Slytherin common room, Lupin answered. Good, I did want to talk to you, Snape told him, glad that Lupin could sense when he had to talk to him about something. So what is it? Lupin asked, closing the door and Snape warding it with a silencing charm and privacy spells. I'm sure that you know what happened to Potter, Snape said. I heard that he lost his memory, though most here in the castle don't believe it, Lupin said. Do you? Snape asked. I don't know, Lupin answered. Do you believe it? Of course, I do, Snape answered. I did the spells to make sure that Potter woke up. However, none of the spells that I did would damage his brain. Something broke when Longbottom did the charm wrong, something that I believe either Lily did or James had done. Why is the blame suddenly on James? Lupin asked. Wolf, I mentioned Lily as well, Snape corrected. Both are in the same boat. You know, Severus, I don't like it when you go all muggle on me. Live with it, Snape hissed. I was raised in the muggle world. Now if a spell was placed on Potter when he was born, then either Lily or James feared that something might come out if Potter suddenly wasn't like them. Why are you suddenly so worried about Harry? Lupin asked him. I found out, from Minerva, that Potter is my son, Snape told him, and he saw Lupin go white. I didn't want to believe it, but Minerva wouldn't lie about something like this. She's not that cruel. But, why? Why what? Snape asked, irritated. Why would Lily or James do this? Lupin clarified. I don't know, Snape answered. I don't even remember siring Potter, but that's why I'm going to be looking into it. Are you going to treat Harry differently? Lupin asked him. I have to, he's my son, Snape answered. I also find it hard to understand why Harry didn't have a signed form. You could sign it, you could let him go during Christmas, Lupin said. All you need to do is give your permission. I doubt that Harry would accept, Snape said. Severus Tobias Snape, you're his father and therefore you have the right to allow him to go, Lupin said, because you know that he'll just break the rules and sneak out. Don't I know that? Snape said. Fine, I'll have a talk with Minerva about it. Great, Lupin said. But first I need to get Harry away from the Dursleys, Snape said. I'll stop by Minerva's office before I go to the Ministry. You know that Dumbledore won't like it, Lupin said. Yeah, well, we don't like the pictures that Slughorn took of the inside of Dumbledore's butthole, but we have to live with it. Both wizards shuddered. Harry joined the other Slytherins that came back from Hogsmeade at the Slytherin table. It had been nice to talk to Lupin, and the only thing that had ruined the moment was his head of house attitude problem. True, Harry respected Professor Snape, but why couldn't he respect him? Are you all right, Harry? Theodore asked. I'm fine, Harry said. Theodore looked at him and then one of the girls from India sat down. Hello, she said to Harry. Hello, Harry replied back. So did you go to Hogsmeade? She's a second year, Theodore told him. Next year, she said in her heavy accent. The feast was great, even if he had to put up with the glares that he was getting from the Gryffindor table. The whole lot of them was nothing but self-centered snobs, and he couldn't stand that. When the feast was finally over, the group returned to the Slytherin common room. Did you see the look on Weasley's face? Malfoy said. Yep, it was priceless, Harry said, and then a prefect came in. All students must return to the Great Hall, he told them. What happened? Harry asked as they returned to the Great Hall. When Harry entered the Great Hall with the other students, Neville came over to them. Black attacked the fat lady, he told Harry. What? Harry yelled. Silence, everyone get a sleeping bag, Percy the stupid prefect said. Later on, Harry wondered what had happened. Did Black think that Harry was in Gryffindor and attacked it? Harry shivered. He hoped that they caught Black soon. The next day was the day that everyone either talked about Black attacking the fat lady or the fact that Potter wasn't playing Quidditch for Gryffindor anymore. Snape didn't personally care either way. He had been summoned to Dumbledore's office to talk about what had happened without others being around. Want a drop, Severus? Dumbledore asked. No, I don't, Snape snapped, knowing that the man was a sweet lunatic. He also brought his shields up so that Dumbledore wouldn't find out that Harry happened to be his son. He wanted to get this over with without the old man knowing. I'm worried about what happened last night, Dumbledore told him. I'm sure that Filch will be able to restore her, Snape told him. Oh, I have no doubt about that, Dumbledore said, but the fact that Black thought that Harry was in the tower alarms me. Do you think that he knows that Potter's not in the tower? Snape said. No, I think that he still thinks that Harry is still in Gryffindor, Dumbledore said, and the fact that the match between Gryffindor and Hufflepuff is taking place will tell me that if Black should see that Harry's not playing, that he'll suspect that Harry's in another house. Do you think he'll suspect Slytherin? Snape wondered. No, I don't think that he'll suspect that, Dumbledore said, but I suspect that he'll find out soon enough and try and find a way to get in. Thank goodness no painting guards the entrance to Slytherin House. We can take Salazar for that, Snape told him. He seemed to have brains even if he was into blood purity. Dumbledore nodded in agreement and then added, I'm going to have you guard Harry. Since he's now in your house, it won't look suspicious. Snape nodded but said nothing. Well, I'll let you get to what you were planning, Dumbledore told him. I'm sure that the ingredients will die of boredom if you're not there. Thanks, and I'll watch out for anything odd, Snape told him. Very well, and have a good week, Dumbledore said, and Snape left. Snape arrived at the Ministry an hour later. He stopped by Minerva's office to sign Harry's form so that he could go to Hogsmeade for Christmas, and then he got the letter, confirming that Harry happened to be his son. It was odd being here, as the last time he was here he had 4 oars on him, but he focused his mind on the present and not the past. He headed for the office of Madame Bones, Susan Bones' aunt. When he entered, a couple of wizards looked at him and then returned to their work. He rang the bell and waited. A woman appeared before him and gave him an odd look. He wondered if she had been someone that he had taught. I want to talk to Madame Bones, Snape told her. She's not in right now, the woman answered. Then where is she? Snape demanded. The door opening brought the answer. Madame Bones had just entered the office. Ah, Severus, what can I do for you? she asked him. I want to talk to you in private, Snape said. I'm not going to have my business all over the Daily Prophet. Madam Bones nodded and he followed her inside her office. So what do you want? She asked, after she had placed the right spells in place. Snape pulled out the paper and handed it to her. She read it over and then looked at him. So Minerva was there when Harry was born and Lily told her that Harry's your son, she said. Yes, Snape answered. I was shocked when Minerva told me, but I don't believe that she would lie about something like this. I'm sure that she wouldn't, Madam Bones said. So what do you want to do? I wish to take over guardianship of Harry, Snape said. He doesn't need to be around the Dursleys. Also, Harry's form wasn't signed and he was the only third year that was kept behind. I believe that Petunia didn't want Harry to go to Hogsmeade as she doesn't view this as important. Of course that whale of a husband doesn't help matters. Of course, Madam Bones said, but you know that Dumbledore will fight this. I personally don't care, Snape said. Harry's my son and he's got the right to live with me. Very well, Madam Bones said. I'll have the papers drawn up and then you can sign them. Snape thanked her and Madam Bones left. 10 minutes later Harry was now his son and Snape was also his guardian. He planned on taking a trip to the Dursleys and show Toonie that what she had done to his son was unacceptable. Naturally that would have to wait until the summer when his son would be spending his first summer away from the Dursleys and at Prince Manor. The day had officially been good and now all he had to do was tell Harry about his new future. Gryffindor will get flattened, Malfoy said to the other members of the Slytherin Quidditch team. Don't take that tone, Marcus Flint said. I heard that Ginny Weasley is taking over as Seeker and she's pretty good. Not as good as I was, Harry pointed out, but if you beat them then all the better. Why don't you play for our team? One of them asked. I don't think so, Harry said. I'm done with that game and you know it. Well, one can't blame someone for asking, Malfoy said. So what are your plans for the holidays? Theo asked him. I'm staying here as my rotten relatives don't want me around, Harry answered. I'm a freak and they have made it clear that Christmas isn't for freaks. Harry, you're not a freak, Malfoy told him. Tell that to them, Harry countered. Rotten muggles, Theo said. Harry couldn't agree with Theo more. That night Harry was busy working on his charms work when a Slytherin prefect cleared his throat. Harry wondered what he had done wrong to get a prefect to come in. He asked, "What's wrong?" "Professor Snape wishes to see you," he was told. "What did I do?" Harry asked. "I don't know, I was just told to collect you," was the answer. "Fine," Harry said and he gathered up his books. "Potty is in trouble," taunted Dean Thomas. "Mind your own business, Thomas, before I take points off," the prefect told him. "Yeah, whatever," Dean said and thankfully he left. When Harry arrived at Snape's office he saw that he had 10 minutes before the professor's hours would be over. He was then left alone and he knocked 3 times on the door. He heard Snape snap, "Enter," and taking a deep breath he opened the door and walked in. "I see that you managed to make it here, on time," Snape told him. "Close the door and take a seat." Harry closed the door and took a seat in front of Snape's desk. "What did you want to see me for, sir?" Harry asked. "I understand that you stay at Hogwarts over the summer," Snape told him. "Care to explain why?" "Because my relations don't like me, that's a memory that I've just discovered," Harry answered. "I've been wondering if you want to spend the holidays at Prince Manor," Snape asked him. Harry stared at him and then asked, "Why would you want me with you?" "Because I don't think that spending time inside a castle is doing you any good," Snape told him. "I hear what the Gryffindors call you and I don't like it. Also Minerva, that's Professor McGonagall, has informed me that we're related." Harry stared at him and then said, "Like father and son or like uncle and nephew?" "Like father and son," Snape answered. "I want you to live with me." Harry couldn't believe it. Someone was offering him a home. "Do you really mean it, sir? I can live with you." "Of course, I'm not going to have you being raised by people that don't care anything about you," Snape told him, sounding shocked. "Oh, thank you, sir," Harry said. "No problem, and another thing," Snape told him, "don't let Dumbledore know about this. Knowing the old coot, he'll try to reverse it." "I promise," Harry vowed. You can leave, Snape said, and Harry hurried out. Harry didn't go to the Quidditch match, though he heard from Theo that Hufflepuff had won, but only because the Dementors had come. Harry shuddered. He really hated them. Naturally, that put Gryffindor in a very bad mood, and they seemed to blame Harry for the fact that, if he had still been in Gryffindor, they would have won. Stupid gits, Harry hissed. Harry didn't sign up for the Christmas break, and thankfully no one asked him why he wasn't staying. Snape had told him not to tell anyone that he was spending the winter break at Prince Manor, and he intended to keep his promise. Black couldn't believe that the fat lady hadn't let him in. He knew that he shouldn't have attacked the painting, but he needed to get inside to get Peter. Peter was the only thing keeping him from making right the wrong that he had done, by trusting Peter. If it hadn't been for that rat, Harry would be living with him, or James and Lily would still be alive. I'm going to get you back for this, Peter, Black vowed. Of course he had gone to see Quidditch, and he had been surprised not to see Harry playing. A girl was playing the position of Seeker, and even though she wasn't that bad, she was no James. Of course Dumbledore could be protecting Harry and thus not allowing him to play. The Dementors hadn't helped matters, and they had caused Gryffindor to lose. He headed for the Whomping Willow and went inside. Soon, very soon, things would be all right. So do you have the project done? Theo asked Harry. I'm almost done, Harry told him. So how are things going with learning your element? Theo asked. It's going great, Harry told him. Ron was mad, madder than Hermione had ever seen him. Ever since Harry had gotten resorted, he had this huge hate building up. How dare Harry go and leave him alone like this? He's supposed to be the famous Harry Potter's friend, not something to throw away. Ron, leave it alone, Hermione told him. If Harry had been playing for Gryffindor, then we wouldn't have lost to Hufflepuff. You don't know that, Hermione said. Anyway, the Dementors came and they attacked Ginny. What do you think would have happened if Harry had been flying? He would have passed out even worse than Ginny had. I can't believe that you believe that, Ron said. Harry is stronger than Ginny. You don't know that, Hermione countered. Ron knew that Hermione was right, but he wanted to get back at Harry for ruining things, and nothing that Hermione would tell him would change his mind. The next day, with plan in hand, he headed for the library. Dean and Seamus were with him, and they would see if Potter was there. If he was, then he would wait until Potter came out, and then he would hex him. Go inside, Ron ordered. Both boys went inside, and then a few minutes later they said, he's in there. Good, now it's time to get some payback for Potter betraying us. Harry frowned over what he was reading. Why did the authors think that everyone that was reading this was stupid? He was doing his potions work, and Professor Snape wanted 3 rolls of parchment on the subject of deflating drafts. Theo had told Harry that he hadn't gotten them right. Oh great, no wonder Snape thinks that I'm stupid, Harry said. I have a habit of acting like I'm stupid. Well, I think it's because Malfoy put something into your cauldron, Theo had told him, though Snape saw it and later on punished him. Harry grinned. He really wanted to see that. Harry left the library to return to the Slytherin common room when a sudden hex hit him. He didn't even have time to hold up his shields before it hit him. He fell back and didn't move. When he woke up, he found Lupin watching over him. What happened? Harry asked. Weasley and his 2 friends hexed you, Lupin told him. What? Harry hissed. Oh, wait until I see them, I'm going to kill them. Harry, it's not worth it, Lupin told him. Who found me? Harry asked. Severus did, Lupin answered. Remind me to thank him, Harry told Lupin. Lupin looked at him and Harry asked, what did I do? Nothing, it's just that everyone knows that you hate Severus. Why are you suddenly defending him? Oh great, you don't think that I had damage done to me, Harry said. Well, if I want to defend him, then I will. I'm not against you defending anyone, your mother would have done that, but I was just wondering, that's all. Well, you can quit wondering, Harry told him. Now I would like to be left alone. Harry saw Lupin get up and leave. The next day Harry was allowed to leave, and at once he headed back to the Slytherin common room. He really hated everyone thinking that he was just making it up. At least he had his winter break to enjoy as he was heading to Prince Manor. The castle quieted down, and one by one the students left to head home. Harry was told to report to Snape's office so that he could go to Prince Manor. Harry was beyond excited. He was going to be somewhere that didn't have people staring at him. "Hello," said a girl's voice. Harry turned to see a pretty girl in Ravenclaw robes looking at him. Hello. I'm Luna Lovegood," the girl said. "You must be Harry Potter." "Yes," Harry said. "What year are you in?" "Second," Luna answered. "I'm heading home for the holidays." "Me too, though I doubt I'll like it," Harry told her, thinking about the Dursleys even though he wasn't going. "I hope that they don't give you too much trouble," Luna said. "See you in a couple of weeks." And she was gone. Only then did Harry realize that she didn't have any shoes on. An hour later he was in Prince Manor and he meant to ask Snape why Luna didn't have shoes. He was sure that her father, or mother, would have packed them. Snape showed him where he would be sleeping and then told him that he would be taking Harry into town to get clothes. "Those things in your trunk aren't clothes, they're rags," Snape told him. Harry figured that the Dursleys didn't clothe him well. Everything was different at Prince Manor. There was a huge library and Harry was able to read without worrying about Dumb Granger and her tag-along Torag hanging around. One of the great things about this was the fact that Snape always knew where he was. It was strange having a father around that cared about him, but he found that he liked it. Later that night, during his first dinner at Prince Manor, Snape asked him how he was taking to the place. "It's great," Harry said, "and the library is really cool." "I'm glad that you like it, Harry," Snape told him, smiling. "Your mother loved to read." "Really?" Harry exclaimed. Snape nodded and then Snape asked, "Do you think that you should write to your friends?" "Which ones?" Harry asked. "Oh, the ones that you've mad, not the dumb ones that you had," Snape told him. "I'll write to them tonight," Harry promised. "Good," Snape told him, and they went back eating. When dinner was over he pulled out several sheets of parchment and put quill to ink. "Hey Draco, hope that you're doing well and that your Christmas holiday is a blast. Sorry about using Muggle terms. Everything is going well where I'm at and I don't have to worry about anything attacking me, or anyone. Can't wait to see you when term starts again. Harry." The next letter was to Wong. "Dear Wong, I don't know how you address letters in Japan, but I hope that your holiday is turning out well. I'm looking forward to meeting your mother. Professor Snape tells me that she can help me. See you when term begins again. Harry." The next one was to Professor Lupin, who he liked. "Dear Lupin, I don't know if this is proper to send a letter to your professor, but I just want to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Looking forward to seeing you when term begins again, and I'm okay where I'm at right now. No one attacking me. Harry." Harry thought over who else that he wanted to write to and then he decided to write to Luna. "Dear Luna, I know that you most likely have never gotten a letter from a boy, but I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. I'm looking forward to seeing you when term starts again. Oh, make sure that you pack shoes. Harry." He folded each letter and put them in the envelope to be sent off. Once they were gone he took a bath and went to bed. He would ask his father about Luna and the lack of shoes in the morning. "Sit down, Ronald," Mr. Weasley said. Him and Molly had gotten a letter from Dumbledore and it had arrived right before the boys did. The letter called Ron's behavior towards Harry as horrible and mentioned what had happened in potions. Mr. Weasley couldn't believe that one of his own children would make someone reveal something so personal. "What did I do, Dad?" Ron asked. "Don't give me that. You know what you did," Mr. Weasley said. "I can't believe that our own son would do that to Harry." He saw Ron's face go red and then Ron said, "I don't know why people believe everything he says. He betrayed Gryffindor and his parents. And you did nothing to help him out," Mr. Weasley said. "It's clear that he suffered brain damage and while he's able to walk around and do things, he doesn't remember your friendship and is uncomfortable. You pushed him away because he wasn't the same Harry that you befriended. He needed your support, not your anger or hate. He acts like he doesn't even remember our friendship," Ron said, "and the damn Slytherins." "Watch your tone, young man," Mrs. Weasley said. "That's why they call it brain damage," Mr. Weasley told him. "Maybe you should get attacked and lose something so that you can understand what poor Harry went through." Ron glared at him but thankfully didn't open his mouth. "You grounded for the remainder of the holidays," Mrs. Weasley said. "Be lucky that you're getting something for Christmas." "Room, now," Mr. Weasley said, and Ron left. What are we going to do about him? Mrs. Weasley asked. We didn't raise him to act like this. I know that, and what I'm afraid of is that something bad is going to happen, Mr. Weasley said to her, and Mrs. Weasley looked confused. What I mean is that I'm afraid that Ron is going to take out on Harry what we did because of what he did at Hogwarts. Gods, I hope not, Mrs. Weasley said. I agree, Mr. Weasley said. Harry woke up the next day and went down for breakfast. It was already waiting on him, and when he sat down he saw that his father was reading the Daily Prophet. Harry cleared his throat and Snape looked at him. I already knew that you were there, Harry, Snape told him. Dad, can I ask you a question? Harry asked him. As long as it's not stupid, Snape answered. Well, there's this girl at Hogwarts named Luna, and I noticed that she didn't have any shoes on, Harry told him. Did her parents not pack them? The Luna that's in Ravenclaw, Snape said. Yes, Harry answered. I believe that the other Ravenclaws bully her, Snape said. She didn't come to my class with a cauldron one time, and I heard that other Ravenclaws snickering. I've talked to Flitwick, but he doesn't do anything. Why not? Harry asked. Because the heads of house believe that it will be kids being kids, Snape answered, though I think that Flitwick enjoys the fact that Luna is bullied. Harry felt rage boiling and the bottles started to shake. Harry, control your anger, Snape warned. Sorry, Harry said, and the bottles stopped shaking. It's just that, sometimes, I remember being bullied by the Dursleys and it's not right. I know it's not right, Snape said, but Luna's father has no power to cause change. Harry thought this over and then said, if Luna's father can't change things, then maybe the famous Harry Potter can. Snape looked at him and then asked, what are you planning? I want to talk to the Department of Magical Law Enforcement, Harry told him. And why? I want to change something at Hogwarts, Harry told him, and I want to make sure that people know that I'm doing this to benefit everyone. Very well, I'll have a talk with Madam Bones, Snape said. Thanks, Harry said, and then he went back to his breakfast. Harry could tell that Madam Bones was shocked that she was being summoned. However, she accepted the invite and arrived at Prince Manor. Harry told her what's been going on at Hogwarts and how he had met a girl named Luna Lovegood that was being bullied and her things being taken. The girl that my niece calls Loony, Madam Bones said. And why do they call her that? Harry demanded. Because she's odd, Madam Bones said. Well, I was called Freak at home and I didn't like it, Harry said. No child should be bullied and no head of house should allow it. Professor Flitwick refuses to do anything about it and I want something done. What do you suggest? I suggest that you make it against the rules to bully people, Harry said. I want a stiff punishment for bullying. And what punishment might that be? Expelling the student and making the family pay a fine, Harry answered. If someone can't act like their parents taught them anything, then they shouldn't be around people. I agree with Harry, Snape said. I was bullied at home and at school. It's not fun and it's not fair. I'll talk to the school governors about this, Madam Bones said. I will tell my niece to stop calling Luna that word. Thank you, Harry said, and Madam Bones left. Your mother would be so proud of you, Snape told him, and Harry felt that Snape was right. The winter holidays continued on with Harry getting a letter from Professor Lupin, telling him that he was happy that he had written and that he was looking forward to seeing him when term began as well. He had enclosed several books on the Patronus and he wished Snape a happy holidays as well. Likely story on his part, Snape said. Oh come on, he's nice, Harry said. Snape snorted. Harry didn't get any more letters from anyone. Most likely he confused Draco with his letter and Muggle usage, but he did get a letter from Luna. He opened it and read. Dear Harry, I was surprised to hear from you, but the Puff-Puffs are saying that I need to write back. I'm surprised that you noticed that I didn't have shoes on. The Humdiggers hid them, so it takes me time to find them. I've got them, though they were hidden under the couch. Thanks for caring and have a wonderful holiday. Luna. Humdiggers, my butt, Harry said. More like birds pecking your eyes out. He took out another piece of parchment and wrote. Dear Luna, if you have any problems with Humdiggers, let me know, I'll stun them. Harry. He sent it out and soon it was gone. Humdiggers, sounds like code for the Ravenclaws bully me, Snape said when Harry told him what Luna had written, but I must admit that she's got a carefree tone about these things. Are all Ravenclaws like that? Harry asked. Not all, but some, Snape said. He got another letter back from Luna 2 days later, telling him that he was being sweet and once again wishing him a happy holidays. Harry got no letter from Hermione, which didn't worry him. He didn't really care what Hermione thought. He got a letter from Mrs. Wong, which was addressed to not only him but Snape as well. He took the letter so that Snape could read it to him. Dear Mr. Potter and Mr. Snape, I'm glad to be of help in helping Harry get over what has surfaced. While permanent memory loss does happen when charms go bad, some memories do remain. I will help Harry figure out which memories that he does still have and then work on those only. Thanks, once again, for asking for my help, and my son says hello. Sincerely, Ruby Wong. That's nice of her, Snape said, glad that she responded before term began again. So do you think she's coming here or doing this at Hogwarts? Harry wondered. I'm sure that she'll let us know, Snape said. So what are you going to do today? Working on my mediation, Harry answered. I saw this book on how to block your mind and I want to try it out. Snape grinned at him and then let Harry go. Snape was surprised that Harry was interested in occlumency. However, he let Harry learn it, mostly because Harry might not leave him alone until he agreed to let him do it. Harry was turning into too much like his mother and he was finding that he didn't mind at all. That afternoon Harry joined him in his lab and he showed Harry how to brew some of the potions that he would be learning when term started again. Cut it like this, Snape instructed. But it says to chop it, Harry told him. Sometimes there's better ways to do things, Snape told him. Not everyone is right. Harry nodded and allowed Snape to show him his way of doing things. Christmas came around and Harry woke up, feeling excited. He also had a pile of presents waiting on him. He gathered them up and headed downstairs, almost running into his father who was yawning. Happy Christmas, Father, Harry said. Snape yawned again and said, Happy Christmas, Harry. I'm going to the bathroom to brush my teeth. Harry grinned and Snape vanished into the next room. The first present that he got was from Mrs. Weasley. He was tempted to toss it until he saw that it contained a note. He opened it and read, Dear Harry, sorry about what happened at Hogwarts with Ron. He's been grounded and is lucky that he's getting anything. I wish you a happy Christmas and I hope that you accept this jumper and fudge. Mrs. Weasley. Sounds like Molly still likes you, Snape said. He was dressed and went over to sit down. She's okay, it's her son that needs help, Harry told him. They all grow up, Snape told him. The next gift was from Fred Weasley, a broomstick servicing kit. Even though Harry didn't play Quidditch, Snape told him that anyone that flew on a broom needed one. Harry decided that he would write to Fred and thank him for the kit. The next one was from Draco, which was a very bad attempt at painting. It had so many horrible colors that Harry felt a headache coming on. Bad art, totally bad art, Harry said. Turn it around, Harry, before I get a headache. Thankfully when he turned it around the headache vanished. I was thinking about sending this to Ron as a jerk present, Harry told him. We don't need everyone to know that Draco can't paint, Snape told him. Send him a letter, saying thank you. I will, Harry said, though he got the impression that it was also to not include the following words, you can't paint. He got another present from Draco, this time something that wasn't going to give him a massive migraine. It was a ring that would activate as a port key. Just in case you're in danger. Harry got a pair of furry slippers from Lupin and another note wishing him a happy Christmas, a book of potions and charms by his father, a lucky kitty from Wong, a jar of drops from Dumbledore. Oh, the horror. Dumbledore is going to invade this house via the sweets, Snape said. Harry chuckled. Hermione sent him a present, which was a horrible painting of someone being burned alive. Miss Granger has a sick side, Snape said. No way, are you putting that up? I think this is her refuse gift, Harry figured. You know, someone sends you something that you don't like so you give it to someone as a present. Saves money. No, it tells everyone that you have as much bad taste in things as the person that gave it to you, Snape countered. Harry figured that he was right, though he did allow himself a grin. The next gift was a broomstick that Harry got really excited about. It was a firebolt, though he didn't remember actually wanting one. It had no note, which caused Snape to look at it. "Can I see it, Harry?" Snape asked. "Sure," Harry said, and Snape left with it. The last gift also didn't have a note on it, and when Harry opened it, something came at him and bit him. Harry screamed in pain, which brought Snape back out. "Harry!" Snape screamed, and then nothing. "Bring him in here," Madame Pomfrey said. Snape had fire called the matron and told her what had happened. At once she told him that he needed to bring Harry in. "What's wrong with him?" Snape asked her. "I have no idea," Madame Pomfrey answered. "What container was the curse in?" "I don't know," Snape answered, getting frantic. "I was out of the room because he had gotten a broomstick that had no note. I should have told him to hand me all presents that had no note." "Severus, this wasn't your fault," Madame Pomfrey told him. "However, I need you to calm down and let me work. Mary will be here in 5 minutes and she knows a great deal about curses." Snape felt his blood run cold. Was this curse that his son had been subjected to? Mary, the new assistant to Madame Pomfrey, came flying in, and they both worked on Harry. Snape sat down, his head in his hands. Did Black find Harry and curse him, or was this someone else? He was going to find out, and he hoped and prayed that they were right with whatever god they believed in, because he was going to kill them. Remus Lupin came running into the wing upon hearing that Harry had been cursed. Dumbledore wasn't happy that Snape had taken Harry out of Hogwarts, but there were more important things to worry about than how unhappy the headmaster had been. He found Severus sitting in a chair, his shoulders racked in sobs. "Severus, what happened?" Lupin asked. Someone sent Harry a cursed item," Snape told him, the tears falling down. "I wasn't in the room." "Severus, this isn't your fault," Lupin told him. "You can't always be around Harry all the time and protect him." "But I should have known," Snape said. "I should have waited until he had looked over all his presents." Lupin sat down and put a hand on his shoulder. "Harry will be all right." "I hope you're right. Be real careful, Albus," McGonagall said. The container was on a table surrounded by runes. They glowed with black magic, which told him that whoever sent it intended to harm Harry. "Why was he out of Hogwarts?" Dumbledore demanded. "Why wasn't he here?" "I don't know," McGonagall said, "but Severus failed," Dumbledore told her. "He allowed—" "Shut up. You shut up right now, Albus Dumbledore," McGonagall screamed. "Severus did nothing wrong and you know it." He's Harry's father," McGonagall cut in, and Dumbledore gave her a shocked look. "Yes, Albus, Harry has a father, and Severus took him to Prince Manor so that he could have some fun, since it seems that everyone wants to kill him." "He had no right," Dumbledore told her. "He had every right," McGonagall screamed. "Now leave them both alone and stop blaming Severus for something that he didn't do. I think that we should be focusing on who sent Harry that curse." "Fine," Dumbledore snapped. "Harry didn't move during the first couple of days that he was in the hospital wing. Madame Pomfrey's new assistant had done all she could, and now the only thing that they were waiting on was Harry to wake up." Snape, meanwhile, had to answer to Dumbledore. "I personally don't care what Minerva says," Dumbledore told him. "What you did is clearly against some law." "Fine, find the law," Snape told him. "You act like you care about people, but you don't. They are your weapons to use as you see fit. I took Harry away from Hogwarts because he's my son. I wanted him to be normal, for a change, and not to be on the tail end of whatever you had planned. I'm doing what I believe is right," Dumbledore told him. "I'm sorry that you can't see that." "Oh, so what's right is to allow my son to be beaten by a muggle with the brain size of a walnut," Snape countered. "No, I'm not going to have you taking control of Harry like that. He's my son and I've got the law on my side." "You would turn against me," Dumbledore said, his tone cold, "the man that saved you from Azkaban. I would turn against." The door opened and Madame Pomfrey came in. She had a worried look on her face. "What's going on, Poppy?" Snape asked. "Harry's woken up, but I'm afraid that we have a new problem," she told Snape. "Tell me," Dumbledore said, and Madame Pomfrey glared at him. "I don't believe that you happen to be that father," Madame Pomfrey told him, and then turned to Severus. "The curse that Harry was pranked with turns the victim into a vampire." Snape's blood ran cold, and then he asked, "You mean my son is dead?" "No, he's not an undead vampire," Madame Pomfrey told him. He's a living vampire, but he'll still need human blood from time to time. How many times? Snape asked. He was willing to give his own if it meant that his son would be happy. We'll start with each day and see if he's hungry. We should know by the end of the week how many times he needs to feed. Is there a cure? Dumbledore asked. Not answering you, Albus, Madame Pomfrey said. Is there a cure? Snape repeated. No, there's not, Madame Pomfrey answered. Harry wasn't in a good mood. When he had awoken, not only did he find out that term would start in 2 days, but that he had been cursed into a living vampire. He so didn't want to be one of them. Hello, Harry, Snape said, and Harry felt like he was about to die. Hello, Dad, Harry said. I found out what the curse did and I'm not giving you up, Snape told him. Why not? I'm now a freak, Harry said, hating the words that were coming out of his mouth. Harry Severus Snape, you will not use the F word around me, Snape said, his tone stern. Do I make myself very clear? Yes, Dad, Harry answered. Good, Snape told him and then sat down. You mean you don't care that I'm even more different now than I was, Harry said, wondering what his father was going to say to that. No, I don't, Snape answered. I might not like Lupin, because him and I have a very bloody history, but I don't care that you're different. Thanks, Harry said. I'm glad that you're here, Dumbledore told the 2 men that had entered. Kingsley and Moody had been summoned by Dumbledore for some unknown reason. And what do you want? Kingsley asked. I want to prove to everyone that Severus is unfit to take care of Harry, Dumbledore told them. I allowed Harry to be resorted into Slytherin, but I'm sure as hell not going to allow him to spend the summer with Severus. Does Snape have claim to the child? Moody asked. He says that he's Harry's father, which I doubt, Dumbledore said. Potter is the only weapon that we have against Voldemort. Wait a minute, are you telling me that this Death Eater that you hired to teach children actually claims to be Potter's father? Yes, Dumbledore answered. Albus, if Snape is Potter's father, then he's got the right to be with him. Dumbledore rose and looked at them. I don't give a damn if the man is Harry's father. Harry is a weapon and he needs to be shown that he needs the protection of his mother's wards. Those blood wards are the only thing that we have. And how are you going to convince Potter of anything? Moody asked. I believe that McGonagall filed a report that this Uncle Vernon BP'd him. Yes, he did, and you would have a child return to that, Kingsley said. Are you mad? I'm doing what is right for this world, Dumbledore said. So what if Harry doesn't like what his uncle does? He needs to be hard to fight against Voldemort. And has Snape done anything like this Vernon person has done? No, Dumbledore answered. Then what law has Snape broken? Moody asked him. It sounds more like you want Potter to suffer, that you don't care about anyone other than this damn war that's going to go on. So you're not going to help me, Dumbledore said. No, we won't, Kingsley said, and if you try anything to make us change our mind, Azkaban will look really good to you. Dumbledore gave them a cold look and then they left. So much for trusting the Order. Is he completely mad? Snape remarked when Kingsley and Moody told him what had happened. I don't want my son anywhere near that man. We can have them arrested, Kingsley told Snape. Then do it, Snape said. I'm not having my son damaged any more than he already has been, and I want the person that sent that box in Azkaban. Oh, don't worry, we'll make sure of that, Kingsley promised. Good, Snape said, and he watched them leave. I can't believe that Albus would do this, McGonagall said. Well, we all know that Dumbledore is a sick man, Narcissa said, but to do that to Harry is beyond sick in my book. That I will agree with, McGonagall said. So what is the plan? We are going to make Dumbledore rue the day that he messed with the Prince family, Snape told her. I'm going to get that nut sacked. And I'm going to take his money, Narcissa said. I think that Harry should have that for all the hell that he's put that poor boy through. McGonagall nodded in agreement. So how long are you going to be in here? Draco asked Harry. Until the matrons know that I'm not going to attack people every day, Harry answered. This really beeps, Theo said. I mean, a dark artifact is a prank item. Low for father to do, Draco said. Yeah, we all know that your father is an expert in the dark arts, Theo said. So what did the thing look like? Well, it was black, had odd writing on it, and before I could even figure out what it was, the thing attacked. Can you write down some of them that you remember? Draco asked him. Harry took out a piece of parchment and drew the runes that he seen. He then handed them to Draco, who went completely white. What's wrong? Our manor was raided last year and this was one of the artifacts that were discovered, Draco said. Arthur Weasley took it. What? No way, Harry said. He remembered that he and Ron had slipped into the Slytherin common room where Draco had told them where their hidden chamber of things was. Ron must have tipped his father off and his father had done the raid and had gotten the object. Wait a minute, you had something in your home that turns people into living vampires, Theo said. Is your dad completely nuts? My dad's not nuts, Draco said, defending his father. Yeah, keep telling yourself that, Theo said. I can't believe this, Harry said. I think I know who sent it. Who? Ron, Harry answered, and the two boys stared at him. Harry had a very hard next couple of days. Every time Harry turned around, Madame Pomfrey or her assistant was asking him if he was thirsty. His friends came to visit every other day and made sure that he had all his homework. Finally on Saturday he was released. I swear if I had to be asked one more time if I'm thirsty I would attack them both, Harry told Draco. Don't worry about it, Draco said. Thanks, Harry said, glad that Draco understood. So how did you like my painting? Draco suddenly asked, and Harry was just about to say that he didn't know how to paint when Snape's words came back. It was great, Harry lied. Draco grinned. When Harry sat down in his study of ancient runes he noticed Hermione glaring at him. Let her, Harry thought. She thought she was just so smart. Of course, a year ago, he would have never said anything bad about Hermione. He had saved her life, but she had easily forgotten about that. Oh, I bet you're so happy being around Weasley Git, Harry muttered. Today we're going to be talking about using runes to do readings, the teacher told them, breaking Harry's gaze from Hermione. Harry took out his runes and got started. An hour later Harry left the class and headed for Charms. He really wanted to talk to Professor Flitwick about something. He hadn't heard anything about what had happened with the new rule and he wanted to know if Flitwick had heard. As he turned the corner he saw Cho Chang, the Ravenclaw Quidditch captain, yelling at Luna. You are nothing, she said. Just because both your parents were in Ravenclaw doesn't mean anything. You're loony, Loony Lovegood. Hey, leave her alone, Harry yelled. Cho turned and glared at him and then said, Shut up, you Slytherin freak. Harry snapped and sent a hex right at Cho. It hit her and she fell just as his father came around the corner with Lupin. Harry, Snape called out. I'm not a freak, Harry snarled. Harry was hauled to his father's office where he demanded to know why he had attacked Cho Chang. She called me a Slytherin freak and she was bullying Luna, Harry told him. I'm not a freak, Dad, I'm not a freak. Of course you're not, Snape said. Look, what you did was all noble but you can't hex people. I'm sorry, Dad, Harry said, but I think that I was never given a chance to defend myself. All I know is that I'm not a freak and when she called me that I snapped. Look, I don't want you to get suspended, Snape told him. Thanks, Harry said. When he got back to the Slytherin common room he ran into Draco, who wanted to know what had happened. I hexed Cho, Harry told him. Oh, and what did little Cho do to deserve that? Draco asked. She was bullying Luna, Harry answered. Draco stared at him and then said, Oh, come on Harry, is that all? Harry glared at him and then Theo said, I heard that Cho bullies anyone. But we're talking about Luna Lovegood here, Draco said, not exactly. I was bullying, Draco, Harry snapped. I know what it's like to be hated because I'm different. And he stormed off, not even hearing Draco saying, I'm sorry. Harry sat on his bed, thinking about what had happened. A clearing of the throat told him that Wong had come in. Want to talk about it? He asked. No, Harry said. I mean, sometimes I can remember things from when I was the old Harry and sometimes I can't. But you remember being bullied, Wong said, and Harry nodded. In Japan we have families that know a great deal of magic and it can sometimes be hard on them. Thankfully we don't bully others that are weaker in magical strength. So what am I supposed to do? Harry asked. My dad doesn't want me to hex people. What do you want to do? Wong asked. I want to be there for people, Harry answered. Wong put a hand on Harry's shoulder and said, "Then you're starting in the right place." Later that night Harry was busy in the library when he was cornered by Hermione. The look on her face told him that he had done something to earn this, though he didn't know why. "What's wrong with you?" Hermione asked. "What are you on about?" Harry asked her. "You know exactly what I'm on about," Hermione said, attacking Cho Chang. "And last time I checked she was bullying Luna, who I happen to consider a friend," Harry said, even though he hadn't approached Luna with the offer of friendship. Hermione's face turned red and she said, her tone filled with malice, "Who would befriend a stinking Slytherin like you?" "How about McGonagall?" Harry answered. "Now leave me alone before I hex you myself for being a stuck-up know-it-all." Hermione went even redder, but Harry didn't care. He had made his point. That afternoon Harry arrived to take his dose of blood potion that would take away his hunger. He really didn't want to attack anyone, and Hermione had caused the urge to feed due to the fact that she had ticked him off. "Are you all right?" Madame Pomfrey asked as Harry's fangs slid back into his mouth. "Yeah, I'm fine," Harry answered, and he left. "I'm worried about Harry," McGonagall told Snape. Snape was busy grading papers when the deputy headmistress arrived. He looked at her and asked, "Why, is Harry in trouble?" "No," McGonagall answered, "it's just that Miss Granger has started to get real nasty. Mr. Longbottom has said that he's seen her talking bad about Harry." "What can you expect?" Snape told her. "She doesn't like being showed up, and you know that she worshipped the ground that Weasley walks on." "I know that, but it doesn't make it right," McGonagall pointed out. "Of course not," Snape told her. "Weasley and Granger only cared about being friends with someone famous. They couldn't take the fact that he changed into someone that Weasley didn't consider fun anymore and Granger considered competition." "Well, something has to stop," McGonagall said, her voice firm. "I agree," Snape told her and returned to grading. February started with talk about the next match. Slytherin had beaten Hufflepuff, and even though Harry hadn't been there to watch the match, he got glares from Hufflepuffs just as much, now, as the Gryffindors. The only Gryffindor that was still nice to him was Neville. Harry had been surprised that the round-faced boy had even decided to talk to him, and in return he helped Neville out in potions when he could. Thankfully it had been enough to keep Longbottom from blowing up another cauldron. "So you really defended Lovegood because Chong was bullying her," Neville said. "Yes," Harry said, "I've been bullied before and it's not fun." "Hermione doesn't like it," Neville told him. "She thinks that you're attacking one of the families of the light." Harry hissed, a bit of his fang showing. "If she thinks that I approve of someone being bullied, then she's got another thing coming." Harry wrote to Madame Bones, asking her if she had talked to the school governors or the Ministry of Magic about what he wanted to change at Hogwarts. She hadn't written back, and Harry had a funny feeling that there might be no change at all, that this kind of behavior would still be allowed to continue. No wonder Slytherins joined you-know-who, they got nothing from anyone. "Hey, Potter," came a voice that Harry had only heard once, and that was in the Great Hall. Harry turned and saw 10 Hufflepuffs approaching him. One of them he knew was Susan Bones. "What do you want, Susan?" Harry asked her. "You caused our house to lose," Susan told him. "How dare you betray your parents and get resorted into Slytherin?" "And how dare you blame me for this?" Harry said, his anger flaring. "I've done nothing wrong." "You've done everything wrong," Susan countered, "and now you're telling my aunt that we're suddenly supposed to be nice to you and you rotten housemates. I think not. All Slytherins are nothing but dark wizards and witches, and it's our job to—" "It's your job to act like a human being," Harry cut in, "which seems to be lacking around here. No wonder Slytherins turn evil, they are bullied by people like you." Susan went red and then she said, "Get him." Harry bolted for Hagrid's hut and suddenly something hit him and everything went dark. When Harry woke up he found himself in the hospital wing. He had no idea what had happened, and then Madame Pomfrey came in along with his father. "What happened?" Harry asked them. "You were hit with a bleeding curse," Snape told Harry. "Malfoy offered to give Madame Pomfrey some of his blood and we pumped 1 pint of it out of him." Harry groaned and Madame Pomfrey handed him a goblet. "Drink this," she ordered, "and then let me know if you need any more." Harry took it and drank it without asking any questions. "What's going to happen now?" Harry asked, once he had finished his second goblet. Miss Bones and her cohorts are in Dumbledore's office right now, Snape told him. I doubt that she'll get away from her aunt's wrath. They blame me for their house losing, Harry told him. It's not your fault that Hufflepuff lost, Snape told him, so don't think that it is. Merlin, these children care more about Quidditch than working hard. Madame Pomfrey shook her head and then her assistant came in. Sorry that I'm late, she told them. Why me? Madame Pomfrey said. The formidable Madame Bones came to Hogwarts upon hearing that her niece had attacked Harry. She was so mad that she couldn't even focus on anything at work, and so she decided to visit and hear from Dumbledore what had happened. When she walked into Dumbledore's office she saw her niece and her niece's friends. Susan, I better hear from Dumbledore that you had no hand in this, she told Susan. It's not my fault, Susan told her. I'm afraid that it is, Dumbledore told the head of the Department of Magical Law Enforcement. They blame Harry for their house losing to Slytherin. Was the child playing? Madame Bones asked. No, Harry has withdrawn himself from playing the game so that he can focus more on his studies, Dumbledore answered. Susan Amelia Bones, how is Harry responsible for your house losing, honestly, she demanded, her tone sharp. If he had been, I don't want to hear anything else from you, Madame Bones told her, and then she turned to Dumbledore. The governors have approved a measure that will make bullying, repeated bullying, an expelling offense. Now that I heard what my own flesh and blood has done, I think that it's an act that's needed. And who thought this up? Dumbledore asked her. Harry Snape did, Madame Bones answered. Harry was freed from the hospital wing and headed back to the Slytherin common room. He hated all Hufflepuffs now, even the ones that he had once respected. Hufflepuffs only cared about looking good, not about honor or loyalty. He went past Professor Lupin, who was looking tired, and headed down to the dungeons. Fire blood, Harry called out, and the walls slid to let him enter. Harry, there you are, Pansy said. Hello, Pansy, Harry said, sitting down. What happened? Theo asked, his voice filled with concern. Susan Damn Bones hexed me along with her stupid cronies, Harry told him. Theo went red and then he said, I heard that Malfoy had to give you some of his blood. What happened with that? Harry didn't want to tell, but he knew that his friends deserved an answer. I was cursed into becoming a living vampire. What? Theo said. Wicked, Pansy said, and Harry snickered. Do you have, like, fangs? Harry opened his mouth and the fangs came out. How long do you have to feed? Theo asked him. 3 times a week, Harry answered, but the hex that Susan sent my way caused me to drink a whole pint of blood. Not my most memorable moment. But why did she hex you? Theo asked. She blames me for the fact that Slytherin won, Harry answered. Theo hissed with anger and Pansy shook her head. That is completely wrong, Wong said, who had just entered the common room with a woman that didn't look like she was from around here. The woman had power coming off of her in waves, and Theo shivered. Harry shivered as well, and she grinned at the affect that she was having. Is there a boy named Harry Snape here? She asked. That would be me, Harry told her. My name is Ruby Wong and I'm here to help you. I'm the mind healer that was asked for. Can we do this somewhere else? Harry asked her, and she nodded. Harry left with her, glad not to answer any more questions. Of course he knew that they would be coming. Stupid Potter, Ron hissed as he headed back for the library. He was looking for Potter so that he could hex him. Potter was the reason that he had a horrible holiday, and Potter would pay for turning his parents against him. He had been raised to believe that all Slytherins were evil, and the fact that they had a boy that had been his friend made him even madder. Why did Neville have to send that charm Harry's way? He would still have Harry, but no, he had Potter to contend with. Everything about Potter made him want to throw up, and now he heard, from overhearing Dumbledore and Kingsley, that his friend was born a stinking snake, a Snape no less. He was going to make Potter pay, and pay good. So where are we going to talk? Ron heard Potter asking someone. Oh, this was the perfect chance. He was going to make Potter pay, and pay good, right now. He pulled out his wand and sent a hex right down the corridor without knowing who it had hit. A yell told him that he had hit his mark. Ron ran down the corridor and didn't even see the large black dog that had appeared. Once again, Harry is getting hexed, Snape said. The hex hadn't hit anyone. Thank the gods, Mrs. Wong's spell had created a shield, but it had been a close one. Any idea who tried to hex me? Harry asked. I don't know, but I'm going to find out, Snape vowed, and Harry believed it. Harry was heading for the library when Theo, Wong, and Pansy caught up with him. Besides Malfoy, he had no other friends. True, the other exchange students were nice, but the four of them were close. So what are you doing today? Wong asked. Hopefully finding peace and quiet that doesn't include Weasley and Granger, Harry told him. That's going to be hard, Pansy told him, because guess who I see? Harry groaned when he saw Weasley and Granger blocking the way. Oh, hello boys, Granger taunted. Hello, I'm a girl, Pansy said. Not in my book, Granger told her. And have you forgotten that there is a new rule about bullying, Harry told her, or are you upset that I got a better score in charms than you did? His friends snickered, and then Harry noticed a black dog looking at him. Hello, boy, Harry said, bending down and extending his hand. Hey, get away from it, Weasley said. He should be mine, not some stinking Slytherin. I'm being nice to him, Harry told him. You would just give him sweets and make him fat. At least he would come home to a real family, Weasley said. All he would do is watch as you get your special loving from your uncle. That's rude and totally gross, Pansy said. Yeah, Weasley, can you get even more beeped? Wong said. Come on, let's take the big guy. I've got some food that my mum sent me. Want to come with us? Harry asked. The dog looked at him but then followed Harry and his friends. When they got back to the Slytherin common room, Harry could tell that the dog looked uncomfortable being there. Don't worry, I don't bite, Harry told him, and I'll make sure that you get some food and you can sleep on my bed. Have you ever had a dog, Harry? Theo asked him. No, but I know what it's like to be treated like a dog, Harry told him. Okay, enough with the really sick memory flashbacks, Theo said. Something really has to be done about your beeped Uncle Vernon. Yeah, why don't we send him a potion that gives him some disease, Pansy suggested. Or infects their home with magic, Theo suggested, and they all laughed. Or how about makes him beep his own son like he beeped me, Harry suggested. Sick memory flashback not needed, Theo said. I wonder if Snape will chop off his thing and make him eat it, Pansy wondered. Oh, that gives me an idea, Harry said, and he pulled out a black vial. And what is that, Harry? Pansy asked. A potion that my dad told me about, Harry said. It makes a person not be able to get their wife pregnant. Harry, did you nick that off your dad? Theo asked. No, I brewed it, Harry answered. Wicked, you're just as good as your dad. No, I'm just as good as my mum, Harry corrected. Lily Potter would be so proud of you, Harry, Wong told him. Thanks, Harry said, and then he set to work. Later on, Harry told his new dog friend what happened to him. Uncle Vernon really doesn't like magic, Snuffles. He really hurts me badly, and Dad said that I don't ever have to go back and be my uncle's say South * Avenue. But Dumbledore, I sense, wants me to go back. He doesn't care anything about me, only Dad does. Snuffles whimpered, and then Harry crawled into bed. Thanks for listening, Harry told him, and he went to sleep. The dog that Harry had befriended took the vial and trotted up to the Ollery. In a flash it changed into a man. Sirius Black hated the fact that his godson was in Slytherin, but the black vial did look pretty wicked looking, and the idea that Harry had brewed it made him proud. He put the thing in a package and sent it off to the Dursleys. He would protect Harry with his life because that's what James would have done for him. He would also kill Vernon for what he had done to his godson and find out who this person was that Harry claimed was his father. Snuffles, where are you? Harry called out. A bark told him where his new pet was, and when he appeared, Harry breathed a sigh of relief. Come on, I want to take you out so that you can run around, Harry told him. The dog barked happily and bounded after Harry. Harry had the time of his life, throwing a stick at Snuffles and letting him catch it. He had never had a dog in his life, and nothing could ruin his happiness, nothing. Theo and Wong were sitting under a tree, watching what was going on. Harry was glad that he had friends that were watching his back. Hey, Draco called out, and Harry noticed that the dog was narrowing his eyes. Don't, Snuffles, Harry told him, Draco is my friend." The dog looked at him and Harry swore that he looked confused. "Protective," Draco said, "I only came over here to warn you of two things. 1. Weasley and his gang of idiots are coming, and 2. Your dad wants to see you. A letter arrived from your abusive home." "Oh great," Harry snapped, "come along, Snuffles, you get to meet my dad. Go down the east part of the castle, they're coming from the other side," Draco advised. "Thanks," Harry said, and he and the dog went down the east side of the castle. When Harry knocked on the door, his father said, "Enter," and Harry opened the door. Snuffles followed behind and at once started to growl. Harry couldn't believe that his dog hated his father. "Stop it," Harry scolded, "he's not going to kill me." Snuffles growled again and Snape said, "If you can't control the mutt, he'll have to go." That stopped the dog at once, which was really strange. "So what did you want to see me for, Dad?" Harry asked. "I got a letter from your home," Snape told him. "Apparently Dumbledore has been talking to your uncle about being nice." Snape shuddered and then went on. "I'm working on getting your uncle sent to Azkaban for raping you. Of course we all know that Dumbledore is going to use that blood ward crap to get you to go home. Personally, Dumbledore should be locked away in Azkaban for even suggesting that you should go back. I swear that man really burns me up." "Can I read it?" Harry asked. "I don't know why," Snape said. "It's sugar-coated for human digestion because he knows that you won't be able to stomach a command." "I just want to read it," Harry told him. Snape sighed and said, "Fine, but I'm still getting him sent to Azkaban." Harry nodded and Snape handed him the letter. "Dear Harry, Dumbledore has told me that you reported what I did. I don't know why you're telling such lies about me, but I would never put my hands on you. We need to do something fun together, and I hope that you reply back soon. Your loving uncle, Vernon." "Harry, I hope that you don't believe him," Snape said. "Of course I don't," Harry answered. "I had such fun with you before the whole pranking thing that turns me into a monster." "Harry, you're not a monster," Snape said to him. "Just because you're different doesn't make you a monster." Harry nodded and then asked, "What do I have to do to get Uncle Vernon sent to Azkaban?" "You need to promise that you will testify against him," Snape said. "I'll get hold of Kingsley and tell him that you wish to have Vernon arrested. After that, a hearing will be set up where you'll have to come, on that date, and tell them what you remember him doing to you. He'll be given a truth potion where he'll be forced to confess. After that, Madam Bones will ask them to decide if Vernon is guilty, and if they find him guilty, who I have no doubt that they will, then they'll decide how many decades he'll be serving in Azkaban." Harry nodded and then Snape said, "Want to go to Hogsmeade and have some fun?" "Sure," Harry said. "We can take your pet with us," Snape told him, waving his wand and making his cloak appear. "Come on. Time to get your mind away from this." The dog changed into a man and Sirius sighed. He hated Snivellus, but the man seemed worried about his godson. Beep, he couldn't believe that his godson was being beeped, and Dumbledore wanted him to go back there. "Be strong, Harry," Sirius said. "I may not like the git, but I feel that he's doing his best to protect you." Deep down he hoped that Snape and Harry won. "Harry, come on in," Mrs. Wong said. Harry had gotten out of the hospital wing that morning and a letter was waiting on him, telling him that he was to see her that night. "Thanks for still wanting to see me," Harry told her. "Your father was worried about you and my son told me what had happened," she said, giving him a look that told him that she cared, "and that's why I've stayed." Harry nodded and he sat down. "So where's your couch?" Harry asked her. She laughed and said, "I believe the couch went out with Freud. I like the chair much better." Harry liked it as well, and then she took out a notebook and pen. He looked startled. "Oh, I don't believe in using quills," she told him. "A good old-fashioned under £1 pen is fine enough for me. Now what can you remember?" "Well, not much," Harry said. "I remember some of the things that Vernon did to me, but not everything, and everything else is just what people have told me." She looked at him and then asked, "Do you believe what they're saying?" "I don't know," Harry answered. "I mean, I want to believe that I had friends, but those friends have turned their backs on me." "What did they say to you?" Mrs. Wong asked, writing down what Harry had said. Weasley calls me a traitor to my parents and Granger has her own views that I don't want to share. And why not? Mrs. Wong answered. Because I'll end up saying something that I don't want Dad to hear, Harry answered. I'm sick and tired of people thinking that I'm some savior and that I did all these things. I just want to be left alone and I am. In Slytherin House. Yes, no one there cares about me being famous or anything, Harry told her. I'm treated like any other student and that's what I want. Do you want to go back to your uncle? Mrs. Wong asked. No, I don't, Harry said. I want to live with Dad and be allowed to be normal. Do you feel normal now? She asked. No, Harry answered. I'm a living vampire and I hate it, but Dad says that he'll treat me no different. And that's important to you, she said, and Harry nodded. They continued to talk for about an hour before Harry was allowed to leave. He felt better telling her how he felt and he just hoped that the rest of the term was much better. Severus, I want a word with you, Dumbledore said. Oh great, the Coot wants to talk to me, Snape told McGonagall. Yes, what do you want? Are you planning on keeping Harry away from the Dursleys? Dumbledore told him. Yeah, I don't like the idea that my son is being BPD, Snape told him. What you feel isn't important, Dumbledore said. Getting Harry ready to battle Voldemort is. I don't care if he's being BPD, the Dursleys' house has the blood wards and that's where he needs to be. Are you completely blind? McGonagall said. You're saying that it's okay for what Vernon is doing. Oh, as long as we have our weapon then everything is fine. He's a child, not a pig. Defeating Riddle is the only thing that I care about, Dumbledore told her. Suddenly Dumbledore felt the magic coming out of Snape and he shivered. Even though he hadn't been a Death Eater for a long time, the thing was always there, right below the surface. Don't you dare talk about my son like that, Snape hissed. I'll train him to defeat Riddle and ensure that he lives to tell the tale. You would go against me, Dumbledore said. Lily would go against you, you beeped old man, Snape snarled. If she was still alive she would go against you. Well, she isn't and we all know who caused that to happen, Dumbledore said. Have Harry return to the Dursleys and I won't tell him who sent Voldemort to her. Snape shook with rage, but Dumbledore was already gone. I can't believe that he's using my mistake against me, Snape told McGonagall and Lupin. All because I don't want Harry to return. Severus, you had no idea that you know who was going to kill her, McGonagall said. What are you going to do? Lupin asked. I'm going to tell Harry what happened, Snape said. I'm not going to let Dumbledore continue to use us for his own personal endgame. So if you keep Harry and Dumbledore tells him, then he'll already know, McGonagall said. Bright idea and a clever one. Thanks, Snape said, and then he left. An hour later Harry entered his office, the black dog with him. Snape had to grin. It was nice that his son had a pet other than his owl. You want to see me, sir? Harry said. Yes, Snape told him. I want to talk to you about something so that if I do anything that's against Dumbledore then you'll know. Harry sat down and waited. Many years ago I followed a man, the same man that killed your mother and James, Snape started. I was stupid and believed that I was better than everyone else because I wasn't a Muggleborn or even a Muggle. I now know that it was because my father abused me and made me hate all Muggles. I thought that he was right, that he would make the wizarding world a better place for those that had been born into this world. One night I was in the Hog's Head, that's the pub that's in Hogsmeade, when I overheard a prophecy that talked about a child that would defeat the Dark Lord. At that time I didn't know that Lily was pregnant with you and that you were the one that would be born in July. I told the Dark Lord the part that I knew and that's when he formed his plan. Wait a minute, are you telling me that you're the reason that you know who killed my mother? Harry said, and Snape could sense that he was starting to get angry. Yes, I went to Dumbledore and told him what had happened and agreed to spy for him, Snape said. If I had known that Lily was going to be killed I wouldn't. I don't want to hear it, Harry snapped. God, you killed her. Please, I didn't mean for it to happen, Snape told him. If I had known. Shut up, Harry shouted. You're the reason that I have to live with the Dursleys. You don't care anything about me. The tears were now falling down Snape's face. I do care about you. Shut up, Harry screamed, and then he bolted for the door and was gone. I hate my life, Snape said, and he cried. Draco knew that there was something wrong when Harry returned mad. He didn't know what had happened, but it couldn't have been good. He tried to get it out of Harry, but Harry would just turn over and not talk to anyone. I'm worried about him, Draco told Theo and Wong. Want me to talk to him? Wong asked. No, we'll let him talk when he feels ready, Draco said. Remus sat down at the staff table and looked at Snape. He could tell the man had been crying and he had a bad feeling that what had happened hadn't gone well. Severus, are you? Don't talk to me, Snape told him. Okay, Lupin said, and then Dumbledore turned to Snape. Is everything all right, Severus? Dumbledore asked. No problem in the realm of fatherhood. Lupin saw Snape's hands shake and he could sense that Snape was about to explode. You rotten old man, Snape snarled. What did you say? Dumbledore asked, though Lupin knew that he had heard Snape perfectly. What game are you *****ing playing? Snape roared, making all the students turn and look at the staff table. You don't care about anyone and you don't care about my son. All you view him as a weapon. I'm doing what is right for this world, Dumbledore told him. I'm sorry that your little plan didn't work out. You knew that I would tell him what had happened. I suspected. You're really easy to read this year. Snape reached for his wand, but Lupin held him back. He's not worth it, Lupin told him while Dumbledore continued smiling. He's your personal pig, Snape roared, a little piglet for slaughter. I hate you, Albus, I really hate you. You have undermined everyone that has tried to protect that child. You don't care if he dies as long as you defeat Tom Riddle. Well, if you really cared about Harry, then you would have never. Snape punched Dumbledore hard. I was a stupid boy. Snape roared. I care about Harry now, and if you come near him I'll make sure that Azkaban has a cell, because what you're doing to him is sick and wrong, much worse than anything that I did. Dumbledore tried to get up, but he couldn't. You're the most spiteful man that I've ever met. I don't want him to go back to being BPD, and you just don't care. Snape stormed out of the Great Hall, leaving everyone behind. Harry hadn't gone down to the Great Hall because he didn't want to face the man that had caused his mum's death. He couldn't believe that he had trusted Snape and allowed him to even adopt him. He sat down on the floor and thought over things. Hello, said a voice that Harry knew belonged to Luna. Oh, hello, Harry said. She sat down and Harry felt her looking at him. You sound depressed. It's nothing, Harry told her. You know that he loves you, Luna said. If he didn't, he wouldn't have told you the truth. Harry looked at her and she smiled. How did you? The chatty cartwalkers told me, Luna answered. Give him a chance, Harry. Don't let things go just because you don't like what happened. Your father didn't send that spell that killed your mum, it was the Dark One. You don't know what you're talking about, Harry said. I blame myself sometimes for my mum's death, Luna said. She was really brilliant and suddenly she was gone. I saw her die, which was horrible. That's different, Harry said. Is it? Luna answered. We both blame either each other or someone else. Like I said, give him a chance. If he didn't care about you, he wouldn't want you to go away from your uncle. She stood up and said, follow my advice. Did you hear the news? Sprout asked McGonagall. What news? Did Severus get arrested? McGonagall asked her. No, but Dumbledore needs to. Sprout said. No, Vernon Dursley got arrested. Madam Bones was just here and she said that Harry will need to tell the Ministry what he did to him. Oh, this is great, McGonagall said. I know, Sprout said. Harry had heard about what Snape had done to Dumbledore, but he was still too mad at Snape to care. He knew that Luna was right, but that still didn't stop him from being mad. Heard that your Uncle Vernon got arrested, Theo said. Yeah, well, he'll get out of it, Harry told him. And how do you figure that? Theo asked. Don't know. Something that I believe, Harry answered. Harry had gotten a letter from the Ministry, telling him that he had to report for Vernon's trial. Even though he was still mad at Snape, he was still determined to have him put away. On the day that he was to leave, he kept on getting held up by Dumbledore, who looked as though his nose was even more crooked. Can I have? Harry, we need to go, McGonagall told him. I was just about to talk to Harry, Dumbledore told her. Harry's got an appointment, McGonagall said. You can talk to Harry then. Dumbledore shot daggers at the both of them, but thankfully Harry was finally able to leave. They arrived just in time and Harry took a seat where he was supposed to. Madam Bones looked at them and then Vernon was brought in. Even though Harry couldn't remember what Uncle Vernon looked like, the sight of him made Harry shake. "He can't hurt you," McGonagall told him. Harry nodded and then Madam Bones spoke up. "Mr. Vernon Dursley, you have been brought before the Department of Magical Law Enforcement on the charge of violating the trust that was placed upon you when you took Harry James Potter in. You are charged with multiple counts of beep. How do you plea?" "I don't have to answer to you stinking freaks," Vernon bellowed, making Harry shake. "You will not take that tone with us," Madam Bones hissed, her voice loud enough for everyone to hear. "Now give us either guilty or not guilty." "Not guilty because you're all stinking freaks," Vernon growled. "I'm a law." "Noted," Madam Bones said, cutting Vernon off. "Now would Mr. Potter, or I should say Mr. Snape, stand up?" Harry stood up and that's when all hell broke loose. Vernon managed to get away and lunge at Harry. Two oars, McGonagall told him what they were, got him down on the ground, their wands pointed at him. "You're all freaks, stinking freaks," he bellowed. "That's enough," Madam Bones said, "take him to Azkaban until we can continue." Vernon was hauled away. When Harry got back to Hogwarts he ran right into Granger, who was tucking something inside her robes. She looked up to see who it was and her face turned ugly. "What are you doing here?" she snapped. 5 points from Gryffindor for acting like that, McGonagall said, and detention for the next month. Granger looked like someone had slapped her but Harry grinned. It had been a somewhat nice day. Snape looked at the liquid that was in his hand. One sip and he wouldn't disappoint anyone anymore. The black dog was looking at him and Snape sighed and sat down. "I thought if I told the truth then he would respect me," Snape said. "All he now does is hate me. He won't talk to me, at all, and I wanted to be there for his chance to get back at his uncle." Snape sighed again and then tipped the liquid down his mouth. The vial fell and Snape didn't move. "You stinking snake," Black roared after he had changed back. "You're not leaving Harry like this." He fire-called Madame Pomfrey and changed back into the dog just as the matron's head appeared. She gave a horrible scream and then pushed through. "Severus Snape," she called out and nothing. She picked up the vial and sniffed it. "Oh dear gods," she said. She used the password to bend the wards and both the matron and the potions master left. "You die, Snape, and I'll go down to the underworld and get you back myself," Black roared at the empty space and then changed back into a dog. "What I think doesn't matter, does it?" Lucius Malfoy said to Fudge. "You want to get rid of purebloods." "I'm not interested in getting rid of purebloods but to ensure that our world survives," Fudge said. 10 stillbirths in 3 years. This has got to stop. It's not our fault that they died, their mothers were weak." Lucius said. "I know that you don't like this but I have to do what's in the best interest of our world," Fudge told him. "Next year the marriage law will take place." He could tell that Lucius wanted to kill him but it had already been passed and it would go forward. Later on he told his wife about what had happened. She looked worried and Fudge didn't blame her. Lucius might have turned his back on the Dark Lord but he still was tainted with the evil of being a Death Eater. He looked over the list of those that would be magically married upon the start of July. He took a long breath and then he headed up to bed. "Oh, thanks Snape for wanting to go out with a bang," Harry said when Wong told him what had happened. "Harry, do you think that he did it because you won't talk to him?" Draco said. "I don't know," Harry said. "I mean, it's not my fault that he caused the death of my mum." "Harry, I know that you don't want to hear this but the only person that killed Lily Potter was the Dark Lord." "I know that but if he hadn't told." "Harry, Snape isn't a mind reader," Wong cut in. "You can't just think that he knew what was going to happen. He didn't know that you would be born at the end of July and that you would be the one to defeat him." "Still changes nothing," Harry said. "Harry, you're going to have to forgive him," Draco said, "because if he dies then you'll never have that chance again and you'll wish that you had done it." Harry knew that his friends were trying to help but all he could think about was what Snape had told him. The man that said that he was father and loved him. "Harry, remember what he said about Dumbledore using this against him," Pansy said. "Yeah, well we all know that Dumbledore doesn't want you to live with him and return to the Dursleys," Pansy said, "so I think that Snape only told you so that you knew." He wanted to foul Dumbledore's plan, and the fact that he blew up and punched the headmaster tells me that Dumbledore suspected that Snape would tell you and was all happy that you blew up like that. Harry, my godfather really cares about you, Draco said. He wouldn't have tried to kill himself if he didn't love you. Harry didn't know what to say, and he finally said, I'll think about it. Don't think about it too long, Draco advised. Harry said nothing. The only thing that Harry heard about Snape was the fact that he was still alive, but that Street Mungo wasn't allowing visitors. That was fine with Harry. It would give him the time to think about what Draco, Wong, and Pansy had said. He knew that he had to forgive Snape. The anger inside of him wasn't healthy, but he still couldn't get over the fact that Snape had told the Dark Lord and that had caused his mum's death. You need to forgive him, Harry, Lupin told him. That's what everyone's saying, Harry said. Well then, I think that they might have a point, don't you? Harry hated it when Lupin asked him a question. Of course the Gryffindors thought it was funny that Harry's words had caused his father to try and kill himself. Weasley made it a point to tease him during their next potions class, which was being run by McGonagall. I guess you can add Snape to the list of people that you've killed, he said. The Gryffindors, minus Neville, snickered. Mr. Weasley, 5 points from Gryffindor, McGonagall said, making it clear that she wasn't putting up with Weasley's stupidity. Harry grinned at the point loss. I don't know what Weasley's problem is, Neville said. Harry was glad that Neville was still talking to him. Don't look at me, Harry said. Weasley was born with a problem and it's taken the school this long to see it. Granger follows him around, Neville told him. Well, that tells you how much of a whore she is, Harry said. He knew that if anyone heard him calling Granger that he would most likely feel soap in his mouth, but he didn't care. Granger and Weasley had turned on him and he wasn't accepting their forgiveness. Easter started with everyone in Slytherin House given a huge amount of homework. Harry had it easy, as he was taking easy courses, but the charms and history of magic was still giving him problems. You would think that I would improve, Harry said. Harry, you're still loads better than others, Wong said. Don't put yourself down. Thanks, Harry said, though he knew that Wong was only saying that to make Harry feel better. I heard that Vernon is going away for a long time, Sprout told McGonagall. Yeah, he tried to kill a guard, McGonagall said. Tried, though I doubt that he would have succeeded. I wonder how Dumbledore is going to take it, Sprout wondered. I personally don't care, McGonagall said. He made Harry's life hell and Harry's uncle Vernon didn't help matters. I agree, Sprout said, and then the door opened and Lupin and Flitwick walked in, so up for some food. No, is Harry still in his dorm? I'm sure, why? Dumbledore wants to see us, he told them. The two witches looked at each other and then McGonagall asked, why? Something happened at the ministry, Lupin told her. No one died, if you want to know. Something tells me that I'm not going to like this, McGonagall told him, and they left. When they arrived at Dumbledore's office, thankfully the halls were clear of students. He had them sit down. Fawkes was snoozing, a feather falling down to the ground. What's wrong, Albus? McGonagall asked. Fudge has given me the heads up on a new law that's coming out this coming July, Dumbledore told them. The law has passed and therefore cannot be changed. What kind of law? Sprout asked. A marriage law, Dumbledore told them. In July I shall know who is getting married to whom, and Hogwarts will have to be changed around to house them. Who is affected? Flitwick asked. All people from the ages of 13 and 75. And the purpose of this law? To repopulate the wizarding world, Dumbledore answered. Oh, just great, McGonagall said. If this world doesn't have enough problems, teenage pregnancy. Fudge said that the ministry will provide funds to ensure that the mothers aren't without any support, Dumbledore told them. Everyone there knew that this was going to be one very bad idea. Snape was still in St. Mungo when Easter holidays ended and everyone returned to the hustle and bustle of school. Harry was busy working on a new charm when Draco and Theodore sat down. Still working on that thing, Draco said. Yeah, I'm looking forward in getting it done, Harry said. Want to hear the news about Professor Snape? Draco asked him. No, Harry answered. Oh come on, Harry, you can't really insist on still being mad at him, Theodore told him, he's gone through enough. Not enough in my book, Harry told him. Harry, sometimes you act too much like my godfather, Draco said, when he doesn't want to let something go he doesn't. Thanks for reminding me that I'm like him, Harry muttered. Harry only left the library when Madame Pants showed up and told him that he had to leave. He took his things back to the Slytherin common room and put it in a place where no one would touch them. When he had locked them he noticed a letter waiting on him. He at once recognized the writing as belonging to Luna. Dear Harry, want to come near the lake? Let me know, and if you do then meet me at 10 tomorrow. Luna, do you think I should go? Harry asked Snuffles. Snuffles barked and Harry wrote back, telling Luna that he would meet her. The next day, after checking over his words that he had written for his new charm, he hurried out of the castle to meet up with Luna. However, he ran right into Ronald Weasley, who was holding his stupid rat, Scabbers. Well, look what we have here, Weasley said, haughty, or should I call you Snape? And I should call you a jerk, Harry told him. Why don't you run off with your slut of a girlfriend? Weasley went red and Harry pulled out his wand, sending his new charm at him. It got the rat instead and Harry watched as it changed into a man. What? The man said. It's Peter Pettigrew, the shouting of Professor McGonagall said. Harry ended up totally confused. The next morning, Harry had been delayed because Dumbledore wanted to talk to him. He found out the truth. Peter Pettigrew had betrayed the Potters and told the Dark Lord where they were. Sirius was finally told that he was free, and now the man that everyone believed was a mass murderer was at the staff table talking to Professor Lupin. You live one strange life, Draco said. Tell me about it, Harry said. So what are you going to do this summer? Draco asked. Live with Sirius, Harry answered. Harry, I think that you really need to visit your father, Draco said. It's time for you to forgive him. Harry hated it that Draco was pressing him. Fine, if it will shut you up. Thanks, Draco said, and Harry got up. When he left the Great Hall he ran right into Luna. She grinned at him and he at once told her that he was sorry for not showing up. Don't worry about it, Luna said. So do you want to go outside? Sure, Harry said, and they both left. I'm glad to see that Peter is finally in Azkaban, McGonagall told Lupin. Sirius was in the wing so that Madame Pomfrey could check him over. Me too, Lupin said. Sirius told me that he was the one that had fire called Poppy when Severus tried to kill himself. McGonagall sighed and said, I heard from St. Mungo that Severus finally woke up. Will he be all right? Lupin asked. He growled at the healer, so I guess in the world of Severus Snape he's fine. Lupin grinned, and then McGonagall said, I heard that Malfoy is trying to get Harry to visit his father. That's what Sirius told me, Lupin said. He's been nagging at Harry for weeks to forgive Severus and visit him. Glad to see that Malfoy is learning some positive stuff, McGonagall said. Me too, Lupin agreed. I can't believe that you're talking me into doing this, Harry told Lupin. You told Draco that you were going to visit Severus, Lupin said. I told him that to get him off my back, Harry said. Still, he'll expect you to visit him, Lupin said. I'm sure that Sirius would agree. Harry knew that Sirius would agree. He had a talk with him. A few days before he was dragged to St. Mungo he had visited Sirius in the wing. He was still starved from his time in Azkaban, and when Harry sat down Sirius looked at him. Harry, I know that you don't want to hear this, but you need to talk to Snape, Sirius told him. And why? Harry asked. Well, first you promised that you would, and second the man got you away from your abusive family, Sirius told him. The least that you could do is visit him. I know that you may not like what he did, but everyone makes mistakes. And his mistake killed my mum, Harry argued. I know that, and it proved that he was a git, but I knew Snape when he was at Hogwarts and he cared very much about your mum. If he didn't care about her he wouldn't have sired you. So what am I supposed to do? Harry asked him. Visit him, Sirius said. I'll be here when you get back. And that's how Harry ended up being brought to St. Mungo. When they entered his father's room he found the man reading a paper. When he saw Harry he returned to his paper. Harry knew that Snape was upset that he hadn't died, and Lupin wasn't helping matters by saying that he would come back in a few minutes. What was he going to say? Hello, sir, Harry said. "And why are you here?" Snape asked him. "Everyone told me that I have to come and visit you," Harry told him. "Including Sirius." "And why should Black care about what you do?" Snape asked him. "It's clear that you hate me even though I didn't know that my actions would harm your mother." "That's what Wong told me," Harry said. "Then you have a smart friend," Snape said. Harry was silent for a moment and then, "Why did you try and kill yourself?" "I don't have to answer that question," Snape answered. "Yes, you do," Harry said. "You tried to kill yourself and I want to know why." "I think not wanting anything to do with me would have been the main reason," Snape said, his tone cold. "You were responsible for the Dark Lord killing my mother," Harry said. "How do you think I was supposed to act?" "Like someone that was interested in the full truth," Snape told him. "I regretted a lot of things that I did and one of them was leading the Dark Lord to your mum. Do you think that I don't hurt every time I know that she's not around anymore?" Harry was silent and Snape continued, "You never let me explain myself. I know that I've done bad things, things that I'm not happy about, but that doesn't mean that I'm a bad person." "That's what Remus said." "Then the man has a point," Snape told him. "Look, Harry, I know that I'll never be able to take back what I did or even said. But I want you to live with me." "I don't know," Harry said. "Think about it," Snape urged. "I will," Harry said. "Good," Snape said and then asked, "What my cardboard chocolate pudding?" Harry laughed. When Remus came back to collect Harry he asked him how it went. "It went well," Harry answered. "Good," Remus said. When Harry returned to Hogwarts he went up to Sirius' quarters and entered. His godfather was busy reading a book and looked up when Harry entered. "So how did things go with old Snape?" "I had a talk with him," Harry answered. "I hope that he's not going to try and kill himself again," Sirius told him. "No, I don't think so," Harry said. "Glad, he might be a git but he's useful." Harry glared at him and then Remus entered and said, "Now don't be talking bad about Harry's dad." "Yeah, whatever," Sirius said, "like I said, useful." "So when is he coming back?" Harry asked him. "He didn't tell me when I visited." "I think McGonagall said that he'll be back by the end of the week," Remus answered. "So are you getting ready for your exams?" "Yes," Harry answered. "It's nice not to have to worry about Granger or Weasley starting things." "Harry, the Weasleys is a good family," Sirius said. "Yeah, well Ron doesn't have to act as though I'm the enemy," Harry said, "just because I care more about my work and not flying on some stupid broom." "Sirius, Harry does have a point." "Yeah, where?" Harry got up and stormed out of the room. "Oh, that was really nice of you," Remus said when Harry had left. "What did I say?" Sirius asked. "Well, you're the one that wanted Harry to visit Severus and now that things are starting to patch up you talk bad about him, calling him useful. He does share Harry's blood. I'm not going to suddenly be nice to Snivellus just because he got Harry out of his home life." Remus rolled his eyes and said, "When is this going to stop? I know that you hate Slytherin because your family is in that house, but let's not forget that Harry is in Slytherin as well. Which I intend to change." "No, don't you dare change anything," Remus told him, his tone firm. "Harry is happy in Slytherin." "Well, I'm not," Sirius told him. Remus groaned. Harry spent time away from Sirius mainly because he and the rest of the Slytherins had exams to think about. Malfoy was having trouble in the subject of charms, which Harry had to help him with. One Friday Professor Flitwick had them doing cheering charms, which he had hinted he would test them on. Malfoy overdid his and caused Pansy to get into such a fit of laughter that she had to be taken to another room. Harry shook his head. The exams were getting nearer and Harry felt confident that he would be able to pass them and move to his 4th year. When Harry got back from the library he noticed a notice on the board. Everyone was talking about it and Harry hadn't even read it. "Can you believe it?" Malfoy said. "The Ministry is going to pollute purebloods everywhere." "What are you talking about?" Harry asked. "You'll see tomorrow morning," Malfoy answered, and that left Harry even more clueless than before. The next morning the school had filed in and sat down at their respected tables. A portly man that Malfoy said was Fudge was standing near the staff table. "Is everyone here?" Fudge said. No one said anything and then he started. The Ministry of Magic has decided that a marriage law should be enacted at once to ensure that the wizard population continues. Street. Mungo has reported that the number of squibs and stillborns is too high to let pureblood marriages continue. The ministry has also concluded that students that are between these ages, and some adults, may stop the ministry from acting. Therefore, once I've read this law, all that shall receive letters shall at once be married. Consummation of the marriage is not needed for a full 6 months after the law has been fulfilled. Here is as I read it. He took out a long scroll of parchment and unrolled it. Marriage Law 3452.790 is therefore enacted. The following are requirements under the new law. He read, 1. All students and adults from 13 and 75 shall be married at once. 2. Consummation of the marriage shall take place a full 6 months after the law is enacted. 3. 4 magical children shall be sired within the first 7 years of the law. 4. The Ministry of Magic will provide a monthly allowance for those that are pregnant so that they may provide for the child. This will not happen if the husband can afford to take care of the child. 5. This law affects purebloods and half-bloods. Pureblood must marry half-blood or muggleborn from 13 to 75, or muggleborns must marry half-blood or pureblood wizards and witches from age 13 to 75. 6. No muggle or magical means shall be employed to keep from getting pregnant. 7. All babies shall be tested for magical cores. If none is found, then the mother will automatically try again. 7. If no magical child is born within the 7-year window, then the wife shall be removed and allowed to marry again. Thus the process starts all over again. 8. No exceptions. He rolled it back up and then said, "You'll know who the ministry chose for you by the end of the week." And he left. "Oh, this is freaking stupid," Malfoy said, "making us get married." Harry agreed, and he hoped that he got Luna. As the end of the week got near, everyone was waiting for the ministry owls that would come and deliver them the news that most muggleborn witches and wizards weren't looking forward to. Finally, on Sunday, a load of owls appeared just as Snape walked into the Great Hall. One of them landed in front of Harry and he took it. "Well, open it," Malfoy urged. "Oh great, I got Katie Bell." "Is she muggleborn?" "No, half-blood." Harry opened his and read, "Dear Mr. Snape, as you know, the marriage law has taken place. You're married to Luna Lovegood, pureblood. I do hope nothing but the best. Sincerely, Cornelius Fudge, Minister of Magic." "I got Luna," Harry said, sounding excited. "Nice, Loony Snape's coming to Hogwarts," Malfoy said. "Hey, don't talk bad about my future children," Harry told him, and Malfoy rolled his eyes. "Who did you get?" Remus asked. "And why do you want to know?" Snape asked. "I got Hermione Granger," Remus said. "Yay, bushy hair werewolves infesting Hogwarts," Snape said. "Let me run for the hills." "Okay, you don't like people that know as much as you," Remus said, "so who did you get?" Snape beeped and said, "Ginny Weasley." "Now I'm scared," Remus said. "Red-headed hot-headed children, with sneers on their faces." He started to laugh, which brought a scowl to Snape's face. "Can you believe that they're forcing children to get married?" Sirius said. "I understand how you feel, but there's nothing that I can do about it," Dumbledore told him. "So what's going to happen now?" Remus wondered. "I don't know," Dumbledore answered. "I can't go against Fudge or the law." Snape, who was listening, mentally snorted. Oh, of course he doesn't know. His little weapon is no longer under his control. "Severus, do you have any ideas on how we can keep Harry from?" "I don't know, sir, and I'm not risking Azkaban to find out." "Knew you were always a damn coward," Sirius said. Snape decided that he would have one long talk with Black about being loyal to his godson. Exams came around and everyone was so busy getting from one exam to the next that most forgot that Fudge had even visited. However, for Snape, the idea of being part of the Weasley family wasn't a wonderful prospect. "At least she doesn't hate your son," Remus reasoned. "Yeah, but she's just a child," Snape told him. "True, but they do grow up." "What did you get?" Malfoy asked Harry when they left Defense Against the Dark Arts. "I'm guessing I passed," Harry said. "I just didn't get the whole course thing," Malfoy told him. "If I wanted to work out, I would have ran around the castle." "And plunged to your death," Harry added. "Yeah, true," Malfoy said. The next class that Harry had was Ancient Runes, which he was looking forward to. Even though he had started later in the year, he had really done a lot better than Hermione had with her work. Of course he called her Granger instead of Hermione. "I'll see you later, Draco," Harry said. "Yeah, see you later," Malfoy said, and Harry hurried off. "I can't believe that you have to marry Snape," Ron Weasley said. "Well, at least I'm going to be around Harry," Ginny said, "and you were the one that turned your back on him just because you didn't like it that he wasn't the same person. He's happy being a Snape, and I don't know why you can't be happy for him too." "Because he's a filthy—" "Shut up," Ginny cut in, "why don't you shut up about him? He saved my life, and that makes him okay in my book." Ron Weasley got mad, but Ginny had already left, taking her bags with her. Term ended on a good note. Due to the fact that Sirius' innocence was proven and the Dementors were gone, nothing bad had happened. Harry passed with very good marks, better than last term, as Draco pointed out. As Harry was packing, Snape walked in and gave both boys a stern look. "Oh, stop. You look like Professor McGonagall," Draco said. "Don't remind me," Snape said. "I'm here to inform Harry that he'll be spending the next month and a half with me, and then the rest of the summer will be with Sirius." "Great," Harry said. "I hope that you can put up with Lupin and the Dreadful Dame." Harry had no idea who he was talking about until Draco said, "Hermione." "Oh, could someone shoot me?" Harry said. Draco promised to write often and then left with the rest of the students. Harry took the Flo to Prince Manor, where a house elf, which didn't remind Harry of anyone that he had forgotten to know, led him to his room. He was now ready for his summer, even if that included seeing Hermione. After Harry had settled, he headed downstairs, got lost 4 times, to get some dinner. He hadn't been told when dinner would be, and he hoped that he wasn't late. "I was just about to come looking for you," Snape told Harry when he finally arrived. "I didn't know when dinner started," Harry told him. "It's just started now," Snape informed him. "Tomorrow breakfast starts at 7. Harry nodded and he took his place at the table. A week later, Harry got his first letter from Draco, telling him that his first week had been hard but that he was glad to be home. Harry wrote back, telling him about getting lost and about how great the food was. "It's a lot better there than where people said that I was at." Harry then got started on his homework, wanting to make sure that it was done so that he would have the rest of the summer to enjoy himself. He got a letter from Sirius, telling him that he would be around in the middle part of next month to take him in and also to make sure that he got a chance to go to the Quidditch World Cup. Harry hated Quidditch, but he was willing to go just to make his godfather happy. "I just hope that I don't have to talk to Remus' wife," Harry told Ginny. "Don't worry, I highly doubt Hermione will come," Ginny said. "She hates Quidditch." "Yeah, I know," Harry said. "Well, I'm coming," Snape told them. Both Harry and Ginny looked at him, and then Ginny asked, "Why?" "Because Lucius is pressuring me to come," he answered. "Anyway, if it will keep Mrs. Lupin from breaking wizard law by trying to hex Harry, then I'm all for it." "I thought you hated Quidditch," Harry said. "I do, but I have my reasons, which I've told you." "As long as you two don't end up killing each other," Harry told him, thinking about the dislike that Sirius had for his new father. "I'll hex him if he even tries," Snape vowed. Harry turned to Ginny. "Remind me to check the weapons at the door." Ginny looked confused and Harry said, "It's a Muggle thing." When Sirius came to pick Harry up on time, he growled at Snape, which made Harry shake his head. Honestly, can't the man act like an adult? "Is Remus going to be there?" Harry asked him, hoping to get his mind off of trying to hex his father. "No, full moon is on that day and he will be too tired to come around," Sirius answered. "So no wife," Harry reasoned. "Correct," Sirius answered. "Oh, she's pregnant." "Didn't waste time, did she?" Snape commented. "Nope," Sirius answered, "though I'm worried that their children will be a nightmare." "Well, if we ignore those little buggers then they'll go away," Harry said, and Sirius laughed. "I highly doubt that will work," Sirius said. "Remus is pretty excited about being a dad." Harry felt like groaning. "Now we have to be supportive of them even if we don't like the little monsters that will be coming," Snape reminded Harry. "Remind me to remind you that you'll be teaching them," Harry told him. "Cheeky little brat," Snape said, though he grinned. "Well, let's get going," Sirius said, "I'll make sure that Harry gets his things." Snape nodded and then Harry and Sirius left. 18 years later. The platform was teeming with parents seeing their children off. It had been over a decade since Harry had finally defeated Voldemort once and for all. It had been so simple and yet so hard. Harry and Luna. Snape was seeing Alex off for his first year. Paul was going on to his second year. Paul had been sorted into Ravenclaw and Harry was very excited about the idea of Alex going off and having his own adventures. "Do you think I'll be in Slytherin?" Alex asked Harry. "I don't know," Harry answered, "but if you are then Slytherin will gain a good student." "Thanks, Dad," Alex said and he hurried off. "They do change," Luna told him. "They sure do," Harry said, smiling. "Sorry that we're late," Ginny said. Mr. Husband didn't want to ask for directions. Severus scowled at her but said, "I didn't get lost." "Yeah, right," Harry joked and Severus glared at him. "Raven, come over here," Ginny said and a black-haired girl came running up. "I've found a compartment already," Raven told them. "Now you be good." "Okay," Ginny said, "don't get into a fight with Adam." Adam Lupin, the bully of the century. Of course around his parents he was Mr. Nice. Harry vowed he would get proof and have Adam expelled. "Don't worry, I'll keep away from him," Raven said. "Good girl," Ginny said, and then, "Fred, get over here." Fred Snape, named after Fred Weasley, came over wearing his Slytherin uniform. "Hi, brother," Fred said. "Hello. Looking forward to another year," Harry said. "Yep," Fred answered. "I heard that he did well in potions last term," Harry said, who didn't have a lot of time to catch up on family business. "Oh, we're so proud of him," Ginny said, going all misty-eyed. "I predict that he'll be prefect," Harry told her. Harry gave Fred a hug and then the child hurried off. "Well, that should be it," Luna said, "the rest of the crew is at home." "I'll see you guys later," Harry said and he hurried off, vanishing. Later that night, after hearing that Alex had been sorted into Slytherin, he thought over his life. He might have lost who had been but he gained so much more. He had a wonderful family, a father that loved him, and siblings galore. He might have lost something but he had gained everything and that included the perfect life. To be continued. I hope you enjoyed this story. Also remember to subscribe and like this video. See you in the next video.